Declaration of subjects discussed in closed meeting. May I have a motion?
I make a motion to adopt the certificate of closed meeting.
Thank you, Mrs. Hodges. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Morgan. Is there any discussion? There being none, Ms. Lau, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes.
Yeah.
Here.
Yes.
Yes. Item 2.3, approval of personnel action. May I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the personnel list as listed.
Thank you, Mrs. Hodges. Do we have a second?
I second that.
Thank you, Ms. Diggs. Is there any discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. Item 2.4, approval of student action. May I have a motion?
I make a motion to retroactively approve the placement of a student in a long-term alternative education program.
Thank you, Mrs. Hodges. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Morgan. Is there any discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. We are adjourned from closed session. I'd like to call to order item 1.1 and welcome you to the November 18th, 2025 Mathews County School Board regular monthly meeting. Would you please join me in standing for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item 1.3, roll call, please, Ms. Lau.
Mr. Morgan?
Present.
Mr. Dobson?
Present.
Ms. Diggs?
Here.
Mrs. Hodges?
Here.
Dr. Diggs?
Present, thank you. Item 1.4, I'm seeking a motion for the approval of the agenda. Any additions or deletions?
I'll make a motion that we approve the agenda as listed.
Thank you, Mr. Morgan. May I have a second?
I second that.
Thank you, Ms. Diggs. Is there any discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item 1.5, our consent agenda. May I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the minutes of October 21st, 2025, closed and regular monthly meetings, October 23rd, 2025 Town Hall, and October 30th, 2025 work session, and monthly claims as presented on the consent agenda.
Thank you, Ms. Hodges. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Dobson. Is there any discussion? I would just like to note that December 15th will be the next claims review date, and that will be Mr. Dobson doing that. Any more discussion? There being no more discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Being none, motion passes. Item 1.6, our Mathews County School Board governance norms and protocols. Ms. Diggs, I believe we are up to you.
Gosh, that's not here. All right, dear.
We are highlighting two of our norms or protocols every month.
All right. The board members, okay. Communications between the board members and staff, including requests for information. Then, let's see, in here. Okay, the board members will speak directly to the superintendent with any request for information. Information shared with one board member will be shared with all board members if readily available. If considerable work, more than 2 hours, is required to generate data, the majority of the board must endorse the request during a meeting of the board. The committee members, as assigned on the volunteer basis, there will be assignment of the committee members as assigned on a volunteer basis.
Thank you, Ms. Diggs. Item 1.7, I'm seeking a motion to, regarding appointment and bonding of school board clerk and deputy clerk.
I make a motion to approve the appointment and bonding of Stephanie A. Lau as school board clerk and Emma L. Hundley as school board deputy clerk.
Thank you, Mrs. Hodges. May we have a second?
Second.
Thanks, Mr. Morgan. Is there any discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Item number 2, questions or comments from a school board student representative. Ms. Ward, good to have you here tonight.
I don't think it's on.
So first, we have the report for Mathews Elementary School. MES students had a fantastic time visiting the book fair the last week in October. The Mathews High School Marching Blue Devils performed their field show for us on October 31st. We are hopeful the show helped inspire some 5th graders who will have the opportunity to join the band next year. Our 4th graders were the recipients of the October Be Present Award, with 98.7% of students present for the month of October. Each class was presented with a class certificate, and they get to keep the Attendance Bee mascot for the month. We were very pleased with the turnout and support of parent-teacher conferences on November 3rd. Mathews Elementary School students finished the quarter strong. We have added more students to all-in tutoring in both reading and math. This program meets after school and serves students in grades 3 to 5. We will finish out the month of November working hard and showing gratitude and thankfulness for our incredible students, staff, and families. At Thomas Hunter Middle School, students have also had a great month. Since our last meeting, our students have had many things going on. There was a family movie night. They celebrated Halloween with boograms. They completed their first CIP benchmark. They've been on science-related field trips. They've competed in 2 art contests. We celebrated students with perfect attendance for the month of October at our Attend Dance. We had the opportunity to see the Marching Blue Devils field show at Thomas Hunter. We celebrated Veterans Day. We had a fun activity night. We finished the Thomas Hunter Middle School Fall Fundraiser, and we spent time in classes learning about citizenship, mathematical equations, fractions, and cells, and learned some of the periodic table and spent time reading passages and annotating them for English classes. Later this week, our family and consumer science students are hosting a super appreciation for teachers. Thank you, Ms. Williams, for organizing this. We have set a goal this quarter for students to have no zeros in Power School. Families, please log into Power School to check your child's grades to make sure they are not missing any work. Also, our attendance focus will be for the grade who has the best attendance and are here each day. That grade will receive a prize at the end of the month. If your child has not organized their book bag for quarter 2, please take a moment to go through their things to help them get things straight. This month, we want to let families know how thankful we are for our amazing Seahawks. THMS staff is very blessed to have the opportunity to work with the students in Mathews County. We hope everyone has a great season of being thankful for the things we have. And then at Mathews High School, we enjoyed a really fun Spirit Week, which culminated in our pep rally, homecoming parade, the crowning of our king and queen during the field show performed by our marching band, and the homecoming dance. Thank you to everyone who worked hard to make that a fun experience for our students. On October 24th, our math team competed at the Rappahannock Community College Math Contest and placed 2nd. Thank you to Susan Sanderson for organizing and sponsoring the team. On October 27th, students in our Spanish classes saw the Latin Ballet of Virginia perform a flamenco dance in celebration of World Arts Day. Congratulations to the Marching Blue Devils for finishing 2nd in the Class AA competition at the Kickitan Warrior Classic on Saturday, November 1st. Jordan Sadeg was awarded Best Drum Major in Class AA. Our music department also had a very successful dinner and a show fundraiser on November 13th, featuring our jazz band, string orchestra, and percussion ensemble. Thank you to everyone who attended to support our music department. Congratulations goes to Ray Hudgens for being awarded the Harvard Book Club Award and Scholarship. On Saturday, November 15th, many of our student athletes volunteered to prepare boxes to be shipped for Operation Christmas Child. We appreciate the community service from our students who went above and beyond to help children who are less fortunate. And that is it.
Thank you, Ms. Ward. That was very informative. I appreciate that. Thank you. Item number 3, we have a presentation from Mr. Bert Schmidt from WHRO, President and CEO, and Mr. Elmer Stewart, WHRO Vice President of Education. Thanks for coming tonight.
It's my pleasure, Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Daniel. Thank you for allowing me to speak with you tonight. My name is Bert Schmidt. I'm the President and CEO of WHRO with Elmer Seward, my Vice President of Education. So I have backup. You've got the hard questions for me. He's here for us. I come to you tonight because you're one of the 21 school divisions that literally own the license to WHRO. We're the only media company in the entire country owned by collaboration of K-12 school divisions. We were founded by 2 back in 1961. Today we're owned by 21 of them, including Mathews County. So each year we provide you with an impact statement. This is for last school year 24-25. And rather than me going through the entire report with you, we've prepared a video for you to see.
Is the nation's sole public media station owned by a collaboration of 21 school divisions. This distinctive ownership model places education at the heart of our mission, influencing every aspect of our work. Our team of educators is committed to offering students, teachers, and families innovative, free, high-quality programs and services. One key service that WHRO offers is eMedia VA, Virginia's leading digital content repository. With nearly 100,000 free, top-quality instructional resources, eMedia VA provides educators and students with videos, interactive tools, games, lesson plans, images, and more. This platform is designed to enhance personalized learning and make classroom experiences more engaging. For our youngest learners, WHRO offers exciting educational activities to spark their imagination. Our 3 education vans visit elementary schools with programs tailored to Virginia's standards of learning, covering literacy, numeracy, scientific investigation, and technology. We also support parents and caregivers, ensuring children are prepared for kindergarten and set up for success in their early school years. For secondary educators, WHRO provides a catalog of 27 award-winning, customizable online courses and digital resources. These media-rich SOL-aligned courses are designed to integrate seamlessly with various learning management systems. They offer flexibility for face-to-face, flipped, blended, and fully online teaching environments, enriching lessons with engaging content. At WHRO, we celebrate student achievements through competitions that showcase their talents. The Great Computer Challenge, for example, gathers school teams from across the region at Old Dominion University to tackle real-world technology problems. Another highlight is our regional spelling bee, where middle school champions compete at WHRO's studio for a chance to advance to the Scripps National Spelling Bee. The local competition is recorded and aired on WHRO each April. Elementary students also have an opportunity to shine through our PBS Kids Writers Contest. This competition invites young writers to craft and illustrate their original stories, fostering creativity and critical thinking. Our Student Advisory Board reflects our commitment to student engagement. This group of high school students offers feedback on WHRO's content and has opportunities to create their own, influencing our online courses and eMedia VA resources. We're equally devoted to supporting educators through our professional development programs. Our workshops and training sessions provide teachers with cutting-edge strategies and tools, empowering them to inspire and guide their students effectively. Visit WHRO's education webpage to learn more about how these amazing free materials, programs, and resources can benefit you. At WHRO Public Media, we're proud to partner with our local school divisions and the Virginia Department of Education to shape the future of education one student at a time.
All the services in the video, all the services in the report are services that have been requested by the divisions. We meet with the school superintendent 6 times a year, with the school board representatives 5 times a year, and we listen to what your needs are. So we figure if it's something that will serve Mathews County, and then Virginia Beach, and Chesapeake, and Accomack, and Surrey, it'll serve everybody. So we keep listening, whatever services you need, we're here to provide them to you. One last note, there is an executive summary in the impact statement, page 2. I'm only going to read one paragraph from that executive summary because you care about money as school board members. Second to last paragraph reads, Mathews County Public School invested $2,768 in WHRO services during the 24-25 school year and received direct and indirect benefits valued at $661,000, a return of $238 for every dollar invested. We hope you're happy with that return on your investment. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Schmidt. Mrs. Hodges, did you want something? No. I wanted to say that I am hoping that our division is taking advantage of all of the things that we are able to, and specifically, I'd love to see us participating in that spelling bee. We've done it in the past. I don't believe we did it last year. The STEM van, I would love to have that coming back, and the writers contest. I would love to have us participate in all of that, not to mention all of the other things that would benefit our students and teachers.
Would love to see it, all of those. Be great. Vans can come up, just give us a call.
Thank you.
But we'll come,
Yes,
we
they've
may
been here
drive today, it's not a
Been
problem
here
for
before,
us.
and it's been very well received.
Yep.
And Ms. Diggs is going to be taking over my role, by the way, of representative, so.
Oh, good.
She is, passed the torch to her, and she went to her first meeting last month, I believe, and found it informative.
And if I may,
Yes?
I have been in touch with Paula Cook, who is in charge, the liaison for the SAIL 250, and
Oh, good.
some of our,
You're not
am I on?
No.
No?
Push it.
Okay. Sorry about that. I'm bad with buttons. But the SAIL 250, our principals have gotten in touch with all but one, and they are looking at options. And as I read over all of the opportunities that you have online for our students, it's very exciting. And our superintendent is very much behind this as well, so.
That's great. Just,
Yeah,
again,
thank you
we'd
for all
love
your
to
effort.
have more services. The report we provide you is customized to the division, so within there are reports on your usage, so.
It's quite
The only thing we
extensive.
really don't know is your usage of the courses, because we build the courses and then we give them to you, they're in your learning management systems, so your folks would have the statistics on the usage of the courses, but everything else, we can provide you.
I think where principals and some staff members are working to increase our capacity with learning management with Canvas. I think there was some pullback after returning from COVID of using Canvas. So we're working on retraining and re-implementation and just looking at all the uses that are possible with really doing an LMS well, and having access to the WHR courses and eMedia Virginia being able to kind of enrich those courses. So
And we have a full team in that online learning space. If you ever need folks to help with advisory, our team can come on up and work with your folks to help, because again, we see what 21 different school divisions are doing with online learning. So we've got some expertise, and Elmer and his team could bring some folks up and work with your folks and help kind of get that moving forward. We'd be happy to do that.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Take care.
Moving on to item 4, school safety. 4.1, we'll start with access control presentation.
All right, so there are some, I did bring some backup tonight on the access control. So we've got some vendors in place who can provide some assistance to me should I need it to answer some questions. So INW is a vendor who works with Verkada as the manufacturer to kind of install and provide training for a proposed upgrade to our access control system. And so I'll go through a couple of the slides, and I'll kind of fill in a little bit, and then there's a quick video, but then I'll ask Melissa and Frederick to come up if they're to answer any direct questions that board members may have. So Verkada started out probably about 15 or so years ago in the security camera space. They've expanded into access control. For clarification, access control is basically the locking and scheduling of the doors, and so as we think about key fobs and smart badges and punch pads to getting in and out, it's sort of the updated version of a mechanical key. So Verkada now has a very robust access control system to accompany their pretty impressive camera system. So Verkada is expanding rapidly and doing multiple things within the public space. So they offer cameras and access control, air quality sensors, alarms, intercom systems. Right now, the proposal that we have in front of us is for access control. There's also a secondary proposal to integrate our existing camera system into the Verkada software. I will also note one key space. So the Sheriff's Office in Liberty Square is also working with I&W to upgrade their camera system, their access control system. So when I&W was out working over at Liberty Square to provide a quote, we knew this is an area that we needed to upgrade. So this occurred probably 2 months ago, ish. So our access control system, I think it was talked about at the town hall, dates back to about '06. So it's definitely, and we've had some failures within the access control working properly. So we knew this was an area that needed to be addressed. So as they were on site working with Liberty Square, there's some overlap in terms of ease of use and accessibility for law enforcement, being able to view our cameras and access buildings, whether it's off hours or in crisis situations. So just some awards that Verkada has earned on their various platforms. I would say the industry, within the education space, Verkada is recognized as one of the leaders for access control and camera systems. So as school divisions are upgrading those systems, most look towards Verkada as like I would say probably the North Star for this is the industry leader, the best systems out there. Ease of use, both on the user end and on the installation end. So just kind of what Verkada does and where they are. So about 45 plus school divisions are using Verkada, and then there are another 100 plus public sector entities using Verkada, the Verkada platform. So access control, again, I feel like I'm almost working for Verkada here for a second, but talking about kind of their industry recognized, ranking worldwide as, again, that industry leader. So one of the key pieces on the Verkada access control from our end is the scheduling piece. Right now we're hamstrung by one console that can do the scheduling of any of the doors. So all of that right now, scheduling of all the campus activities across this campus or the high school, any sort of event needs to run through one individual. Right now that's Jason Hudgens with the maintenance department. So he's spending an exorbitant amount of time scheduling for events and programming doors to be unlocked. So movie nights, board meetings, basketball games, et cetera, he's the one who's programming which doors and for what time do they open, what time do they lock. Moving towards this platform will help us, because of the ease of use, disperse some of that responsibility. So there will end up being a school-based person responsible for scheduling their building. So the PTO meeting or the movie night or the attend dance, like the school would be responsible for scheduling their building. The other great part about this is there's a web-based ability to then activate either a lockdown remotely through the app, or also schedule the building remotely through the app. So it allows more functionality, much more flexibility, greater input into locking and unlocking of the doors on campus. Again, I touched on the sheriff's office integration. One of a big appeal for us is the overlap and the ease of use between the two systems, between the two entities, so the school division and law enforcement. So right now, law enforcement has access, a certain number of slots for access to our camera system. So I think 3 to 4 individuals within the sheriff's office have remote access to be able to look at camera systems if there's a need for some investigative purpose or in a crisis situation. However, it's not the same platform as their platform, so you have to have some fluency in the software to really know how to navigate our camera system well. By us being on the same platform, that fluency is already then built in. By going to smart badges in the event of a crisis situation, first responders are automatically going to have that smart badge or have access to be able to enter the buildings. Now we've got kind of a code and a fob system, and so I think all the deputies have fobs and keys that are assigned to them. But with that smart badge, it becomes the ease of use is increased. So accelerating emergency response, one of the key pieces is in an emergency response within this platform, our digital map of campus is already uploaded. So in the event of some sort of crisis situation, that can be pulled up on the map of the building, can be pulled up onto their phone pretty quickly. I think there's a remote access on the phones for camera systems, so it can, hey, the alarm we notified is here, here's a map of the building and an overlay of where the cameras, the exits, all those sort of things. So it's at your fingertips access to speed up response time for first responders. One of the interesting pieces right now, so Verkada has Verkada-specific cameras, but it also has software. So what Verkada is able to do is take our existing camera system, which is not old. So we've spent the last the two previous school years spending state safety money to upgrade the camera system. So our cameras are only about 2 years old. So we can, because they're modern cameras, we can plug those into Verkada servers, and I'm not the IT person that I used to be, but be able to then integrate our existing cameras into the Verkada system to increase their functionality with all the software that's available. Okay, so can you click on that link and play it for me, Mr. Wren?
sector and K-12 customers in the state of Virginia here at Verkada. I'm going to run you through a brief 2 to 3 minute breakdown of what the Verkada system is and how it specifically applies to our county public school customers. The Sheriff's Office is about to utilize our Verkada cameras, which look a little bit like this and come with various different analytics and features to keep the county and people around you safe, from proactive notifications to people analytics, vehicle analytics, and easily being able to clip and share footage. Now with the county school system, you all are looking at our access control product line. Access control is deployed with over 30,000 Verkada customers worldwide, and Verkada as a product is with 45 different school divisions throughout the state of Virginia. Now access control has a lot of proactive safety features that have been built for K-12 and county government. From being able to trigger a lockdown with the click of a button, so this could be the high school, the middle school, and the elementary school. An administrator can quickly lock down the building by just pressing this from their phone or web browser as they're logged in, to going and monitoring specific doors. I can go and click into this door right here, get different analytics depending on if I have video paired with it or not, but more importantly, open this door, lock it, and unlock it with the click of a button, whether I'm remote or I'm on site. Each door can be set on a different schedule. This kind of looks like a Google Calendar. You can set it for all of your doors or just specific doors. And you can also set specific access levels. So the same goes with a lockdown. There are specific people, like the sheriff's department, deputies, superintendent, who will be able to unlock doors after a lockdown. And same thing goes for just normal entry. You can set each door to a custom schedule for different groups of people, like it shows right here. So I'm going to exit out of this. I'm going to go to our users and groups. It's super easy to add a user and to manage specific users. If I type in somebody, for example, this gentleman right here, I can bring up their profile, and I can see what their credentials are. So we can have an actual physical key card that allows them to enter the building, a key code, an app on their phone, or even if you have an arm gate, their license plate can open it. You can disable these credentials at any time in case they get let go or they leave the division. You'll also tailor their access credentials. You can put them in a group with other people that all have the same credentials, or you can do this person by person. And lastly, we log all events. So from access granted to access denied. If you don't have cameras paired, there just won't be this context footage. But if you do, you do get the benefit of context footage. So I can click in here. You'll see that we have a camera paired with this individual door. And as he enters the facility, right, it actually captures him, and I can play this video to review it. Here's our schedules page, where you're able to actually schedule when doors are unlocked, locked, and access controlled, and put in different door exceptions, like holidays, Christmas, Easter, or school break. We generate access reports, which are downloadable with the case of a security audit, or if you need to actually look at specific door events, you can just export this file and save the report. And then you can even give visitor access. If you have a contractor, they can pass the criminal background check with our guest platform, and you can give them temporary access for a day or 2 days if they have access to a specific door area of the campus. Now with cameras, I'll showcase this quickly. This is called our command connector. We can actually use your existing cameras and infrastructure if it's relatively new. For example, here we have a third-party camera that we brought into our software, and we have the ability to view people, vehicles, and get proactive alerts. The sheriff's department could, let's say, upload a picture of somebody with a warrant, and we could get notified if that person appears on any of our external facing cameras. If they do, we can quickly share by putting their department email or phone number into this. Once I press send link, it will give them access to that data before they arrive onto campus. Same goes for floor plans. We can upload each campus's floor plans level by level into the software, place specific doors, specific cameras, environmental sensors, or anything else you utilize with Ricotta. We can turn on things like motion detection in the case of a lockdown, so you can quickly look into where people are traveling throughout the
So Vaughn got cut off, but that's the end of the video. So you can tell by that snippet, it's a pretty powerful system. One of the things they didn't get into but so much is that, he talked a little bit about license plate identification to be able, if you have an arm gate, but it also will do that if you have a banned license plate from being on property. So if a license plate is assigned to an individual who is banned from being on school property for any number of reasons, it can then, if the camera is set up in a certain way or can capture license plates, it can also send that same alert. So in terms of this process, we've been collaborating with the combined maintenance department and a little bit with the sheriff's office on moving forward with this. So I believe the Board of Supervisors will be getting a request for moving forward with upgrading the access control system for the school division. There was a kind of I think a 0% interest loan, I don't know the right way to put it, but kind of a phase in, a multi-year sort of buy-in for the sheriff's office. A similar proposal has been granted for the school division, but it would fall under the maintenance part. But before going to the Board of Supervisors, I wanted the school board to have an idea of kind of what is being proposed, what the potential then looks like for our upgrading our access control system. That, again, we started actually about in September. We had a fire drill, noticed some issues with our access control not working as it should. And so that kind of started the ball rolling with, hey, we're having issues with this 20-year-old system that we need to get moving on, finding a solution. So We looked at a couple different ones, and so Verkada is, again, being able to pair with the sheriff's office is a significant piece, along with just the user interface and just the robust features that exist with Verkada. If you guys have questions, I have answers waiting, but if they're not, then we can move along. Ms. Hodges?
You may have mentioned this, the cost. We're talking about what kind of cost?
So if we do the camera integration, it becomes more expensive. Just access control, I believe, is $150,000. That's spaced out over, I think it's parsed out over 5 years. By integrating the camera system, that software add-on becomes, I think it's around $350,000, again, over that, spread out over 5 years.
There's a lot of data that it sounds like it's going to need to be put into the systems, like license plates, like band license plates. Is that going to be rolled into someone's job responsibility? You know, or, I mean, it just sounds like as we move forward with more security, there's got to be someone that's going to have to be manning this. And I know people are really got their plates full right now.
Right.
Are we looking at possibly at another additional positions to help with this, or, and you may not be
No,
at that
I don't think
point
we're
yet.
looking at additional positions right now. I think the uploading of license plates would be, hey, we have a known license plate that we are concerned about, or a repeat offender, or we suspect that this car or this individual is coming on school grounds after school hours and they've been prohibited from being there. I think that's kind of a one-off situation, so we can upload very specific things or facial recognition images, things along those lines. So I think the amount of instances where that's required is still going to remain pretty small. So we're not putting in every kid's license plate or every kid's picture or family. So I think it's continuing the collaboration with the sheriff's office, saying, hey, we're worried about this individual, or if there's a way to upload certain offenders, pictures, we may be able to bulk upload, say, sex offenders who are not allowed on school property, to then have that as part of the screening.
So someone drives in and they have an outstanding warrant, a sex offender, whatever. Is the sheriff's department notified or the school is notified?
My
or
understanding,
both?
the way that's listed, and maybe you guys can, I think it's how we, I think you put in an email, you determine who you want notified in those situations,
Okay.
and then that notification is sent. But
So the way it works is the system itself, when you're looking at any of the camera footage, any of the cameras that are aimed at license plate, it automatically reads that license plate. It can automatically detect individuals without having to enter any information. If there's a person of interest that is not part of the National Sex Offender Registry, we would have to actively create this person of interest. However, they are populated, and any time a person of interest, whether from the National Sex Offender Registry, from FBI's Most Wanted, from any warrants list, is detected, alerts are sent out both to the school administrators and to the police department, and E911 will have access into the system to immediately detect where that person is and follow their movements as they are working with the dispatched officers.
Okay, thank you.
Right. Additional questions, members?
yeah, he's better at answering than I am.
I have a couple of questions. Since this is such a robust system and such gold standard, basically, what is your experience in the local divisions? I mean, how many other divisions have it? And are you strictly working in Virginia? Are there divisions local to us that also are using your services?
There are 45 school districts throughout Virginia that are using the Verkada system. A lot of the school districts that we've assisted with directly are in the surrounding states. So we've done work in Delaware, North Carolina, and in West Virginia. We've worked with states, local county school systems there.
Great.
We've been able to help detect and deter 15 different incidents so far with individuals who are on the National Sex Offender Registry. So far, we've had positive feedback across the board from every single school system that is using this current system.
Very good. And as a follow-up, how long does it take to get a school division up and running with whichever plan we were able to do with either access control only or with the cameras?
As far as timeline goes, 90% of the timeline is just going to be physical installation of hardware. With access control, it's a one-to-one replacement so far is what we've looked at. It could take roughly 1 to 2 weeks. Usually we try to aim for school breaks to do this, winter break, summer break, spring break. But as far as actually getting users online to the dashboard, fairly simple. We have pre-done training videos that we send out. We also offer in-person training so that you guys are well-trained and well-versed in how to use the system. But standing up the system itself is super simplistic. And we've actually gone ahead for the Sheriff's Department. We've created basically a dashboard for the entire county of Mathews County. So any school system that is brought in will be added to this dashboard. So the framework's already there. It would just be adding your equipment into it.
Great, thank you. Any other questions, comments, members?
I got a question.
Yes, Mr. Dobson.
This is probably directed more toward the sheriff. On this face recognition that they're using, the county doesn't shy away from that? On face recognition,
Facial recognition.
the county will use it 100% of the time, will not shy away from it? Well, you got some areas that the police will not use that equipment to the fully extent that it was intended for, i.e. face recognition. You got some counties won't do that. You're presently not doing that, you're using it. All right, so there wouldn't be anything coming along the line that you wouldn't use it for unless they change the state law. That's all I wanted to know.
They do have blurring abilities as well in there. If there's any sort of thing that comes up and the sheriff is aware of that, if there's some reason that a face needs to be protected, there is an ability to be able to blur that for something sensitive. So that's in the software.
Well, you'd have to have something in there to key that information.
Can you talk to that?
Yeah, so when you go to save a video clip, if you have a video clip of something happening between two students or a student and an adult, something where the student's face needs to be blurred out, we have the ability that when you save this video, you can save it with face blur turned on and it's selective face blur. So you can select the individuals whose face you wish to blur. This video footage cannot be redacted. You cannot change it after it has been saved, making it completely court admissible in all 50 states.
Thank you.
And then I have one other question.
Okay.
Who would control the information, like a picture, to the public?
The public is not able to see anything on the cameras unless the school board or the sheriff's office is to release this information. So if there was an incident that occurred and it went to trial and it had to be publicly released, then the public would be able to see that information, but only administrative users of the actual system are able to see anything on the system.
So the school is responsible for the pictures that's on, that it keeps up there?
Technically, yes.
Any more questions, members? Thank you very much. This is
Thank you.
very informative. Moving on to item 4.2 with school safety update.
Just doing a couple updates. And I will add that there is a very close in proximity school division that is moving towards the Verkada system. So I think they're a couple steps ahead of us in terms of signing an implementation, and they're integrating cameras on onboarding to Verkada, along with changing the access control. So a couple highlights on some safety upgrades, some other things that are happening. So the board, you all have a resolution later in the agenda to divert approximately $90,000, I think it's $89,047, towards the costs of hiring 2 school resource officers. Not to steal anyone's thunder, but we're just making that available should an announcement come. So we're moving in that direction. Many thanks to the sheriff for pushing forward and pursuing this grant for the school division and the county, and also for Ms. Emma Hunley for going through our finances to kind of move things around to make that diversion of money possible. Reminder that the county was awarded some grant money for weapons detection at the high school and the middle school. So we had some video kind of conferences from vendors looking at options to spec out best in class sort of weapons detection systems. So we're finalizing some quotes with that vendor. I feel confident that we'll be able to get at least 4. I'm hoping to be able to get 5 weapons detection machines. The turnaround time on that is pretty quick. The training time on that, again, is relatively quick. What principals right now have been tasked with doing is the staffing of those machines and working on changing the ingress and egress patterns within the schools. So funneling everybody through certain points so that everyone is walking through those weapons detection systems. I anticipate probably having 3 at the high school. So they're also portable, so you can move them in the event of outdoor activities. They're battery powered, so you can have them out, say, by the football field, soccer fields. You can move them at different points for any kind of school activity. So if we needed to move them to the auditorium for a school event, they can be moved to screen individuals who are coming in for various activities. So we're working to finalize those. The turnaround time on getting those in place isn't particularly long, probably a month, 6 weeks. The hurdle right now is just the staffing and the training. We may go visit some neighboring school divisions who have the same models, the same brand, to look at the procedures that they've put in place. One of the things about the weapons detection is you can adjust the sensitivity based on what you're looking for and how much, I guess, intrusive really isn't the word, but do you want to take everything out of your pockets, keys, whatnot, when you go through them, or you can reduce the sensitivity to really just target things that go, as the vendor said, boom and bang. And so you can kind of narrow down that flexibility. So it's not like an airport search. You can walk through with, say, cell phones or keys in your pockets, but probably the Chromebook and the giant Stanley thermos would have to go around in order to get in. But you need to have individuals there to watch the weapons detection, to also assist with the handing of things around the weapons detection, and then when something gets alerted, you need an individual there to assist in the searching. But that's state grant money. That's coming, hopefully, February timeframe, to have those in place and begin installing, using those. We'll put out some communication about changing in habits and patterns that may be necessary. So drop-off points may change a little bit. We may have to adjust timelines a little bit if it takes a little bit longer to get students into the building, and also thinking through communication for after-school events. So how do we staff some of those, like basketball games and other sorts of games? And so thinking through like who's going to be there and communicating out to the public. Third part I was going to bring up was access control, but we've already talked quite a bit about the access control system. Environmental sensor installation, so otherwise known as vape detectors. They got some of them in on Tuesday, I believe, or yesterday. They'll install the other 2, I think, on Thursday. Some intentional damage occurred to one of them, so we are going to have to go back and do some work on the one that was damaged, and then track down that individual. But I'm pretty optimistic about getting those in place and getting those activated and getting the training in place. They have the potential not just to sense like different sorts of vapors, whether it's sort of nicotine vapors or THC vapor, but it also is noise. It has a keyword search. It also can detect like proximity within that space. So you can tell if individuals are sort of clustered in one corner, like if you've got 3 people who are in the stall, like something's probably not happening like it should. So those sensors will be able to pick that up and then send alert to administrators. The other piece, the last piece in terms of some of the safety updates is I reached out to the Department of Criminal Justice Services very recently to access some training regarding standard response protocol and standard reunification method. So we had some issues with our lockdown procedure on October 30th, some flaws that were brought to light as we did some after-action review. And so I reached out to DCJS to, one, begin training our administrators. And so after that training, we'll then develop a longer, more segmented training plan for then staff members to then build up from. So administrators, staff members, bringing in first responders within the community. So that's happening on January 13th. So a tentative training kind of video has been sent from DCJS to me to review, along with some other training modules that I still need to share with principals in advance of that January 13th meeting. I've also shared that with Sheriff to invite, should we have 2 new law enforcement officers, those individuals or anybody from the Sheriff's Office is welcome to join us for those initial refresh trainings on SRP, and then also I think collaboratively we can then work on a training program going forward or a retraining program moving forward. Whether that's one of the things we talked about with DCJS was, does it work better to do half days on each campus, have everybody kind of coming together, like all the faculty and staff in the auditorium at the same time on the same day, or does it work better to do a morning on one campus and an afternoon on the other campus, have smaller groups, and also really look at the layout of the buildings, because your terrain sort of dictate your tactics in various situations. So we're kind of leaning a little bit towards doing it on site on the respective campuses. But they're also willing to just do all online trainings, and so we can just do snippets at faculty meetings, or they're very flexible in terms of how they can provide additional training and making sure that everybody's on the same sheet of music and doing the same thing and developing the necessary, as we were talking about earlier, muscle memory in those sort of high stress situations. So questions from you all on some of those safety updates?
I have a question.
Sure.
What are you looking at? 3 fixed units and 2 portable units?
Oh, in terms of weapons detection?
Right.
So none of them are fixed. So none of them are bolted.
You're not going to have any fixed equipment?
They're not fixed. So they're all, they weigh about 25 pounds. There's some specs in terms of distance apart from each other and approach distance and stuff like that. But they're designed to be completely portable. The goal is to not have to move them a ton. So if we can have one that's sort of set up really right now by the gym doors, because that's a point of entry in the evenings a lot of times. So we would have, right now the thinking, at least at the high school, is front doors, bus loop coming in the side cafeteria doors, and then those gym doors. But as the high school administration is rethinking points of entry into the building, it may make sense to look at something different and funnel everybody in, maybe not through the main entrance, but through one of the other side entrances in terms of spacing and staffing and camera footage, just visibility. I know one of the things they talk about in the mornings at the high school is the parent drop-off frequently backs up onto Buckley Hall, so it may make sense to kind of move that parent drop-off a little bit further in and then have a different point of ingress.
Have you considered using parents on that equipment on sports nights?
We're thinking through what the best solution is on sports nights. It's the hurdle a little bit with volunteers and parents is then if there's a search of some kind that's required, there's some gray area between, is it the school official, is it law enforcement who then engages in that? Having somebody who's not a paid employee of Mathews County Schools being involved in that becomes a little bit sticky, I think, legally. But having an extra body there to observe, I think will help. And we can talk a little bit with the athletic director and kind of thinking through those responsibilities.
I know, but you still run background inspections on them all.
Yeah, but they, we don't pay them, and so they're not necessarily responsible
I
to us.
understand that,
Yeah.
but at least you keep people off that you
Right.
already know about.
Right. I think having people there, having supervision, that's been brought up, especially at town hall, especially like tonight as I have my back to the entrance. But making sure that there is coverage and supervision available. I mean, the other big piece that we need to tackle is being able to section off our buildings. So our buildings, like closing them down after hours or for extracurricular events is extremely difficult because we don't have the infrastructure in place to be able to do that. So that's kind of a next phase of enhancing the physical security within our buildings. Yes, ma'am.
So, now that we're coming off, Courthouse Player is having a musical activity this past weekend. Is it your thinking that this is going to broaden beyond the school to anything in the auditorium, or have we not gotten to that point yet?
I think I believe the current thinking, my current recommendation would be just school-sponsored events.
Okay.
So us running it for Courthouse Players or donks or some of the frequent users of the auditorium, I right now would not be in favor of deploying that. But I think if we have the Christmas band concert from the high school, yeah, graduation, yes. So running individuals through that whenever it's a school-sponsored. Now, if there's a request, I think we can work through that request process to see if we have staff available who could partner with whoever that renter is to offer that additional security.
Thank you.
And we've had some tentative conversations with county administrator if they wanted to move some of their meetings to this facility in order to access the weapons detection. That would, we can work with them on that too. So I mean, it's a resource for the county to be able to use.
Dr. Daniel, you mentioned that you're looking at procuring 4 to 5 machines. So, and you're thinking of dedicating 3 to the high school. And so that's either 1 or 2 left for the remaining 2 schools, at least at this point.
So per the grant, we have grant money for the high school and the middle school, but they're also portable.
Okay, so the vision is to make use of all of these units to cover the necessary points of entry at all of our schools somehow.
The goal will be to deploy them in a way
Portability.
to give us as much coverage and as much sense of security and safety as we can.
I do have a concern that we will be short in that number. So I would recommend that we entertain or at least discuss the possibility of getting at least an
6th.
additional
Okay. All right.
unit.
I'll go back, see what we can. There's some add-on features that we may not need to have, like additional batteries and some other things that may not be necessary if as we add on each new machine, they kind of came as a package. So we may be able to trim off, just give me the machine and not the ancillary other, stabilizer brackets and stuff
I don't
like
want to
that.
compromise those machines, but I do think
Right.
it's worth a conversation. And then a follow-up again is, who's going to be establishing the protocol for the entry through these machines? Is that going to be a team of admin and sheriff's department, or is it a collaborative effort between many parties?
So I've asked the principals right now to start thinking about the staffing of that. So once we get closer to launch day, we'll have, hopefully, we'll have some answers regarding SROs on campus and be able to consult with SROs and their expertise on best practice for
Right.
deploying these. I think we can also, again, working with neighboring school divisions
Yes.
on their protocols, and we've had some of those conversations about, like, where does the law enforcement officer, where are they with this process? Because I think our original thought was, if we're searching for weapons and we find one, I really want somebody with a weapon there to get the weapon from the person who's not supposed to have the weapon. But I don't know that that's the protocol in most, if any, spaces, school divisions right now.
Oh,
So,
well, I'd be interested to hear what their protocols are.
well, I mean, I think one of the things about SROs is not being predictable in where your,
Right.
where your station
I
is, and
understand
so having some of that flexibility. So posting them up at this particular location every day at this time
No.
leads to a vulnerability in
Right.
some other areas. So,
Sure,
so.
yeah. Any more questions or comments? Yes, Mr. Morgan?
Yeah, just one quick thought here. I do share your concern, Dr. Gibbs, about the possibility that we're going to need one or two additional units. I understand the grant covers the high school and the middle school. No mention of elementary school.
Correct. They were applied for, we didn't get funding for
Right.
the
Right.
school. Yes.
But that being said, I know our goal is to consolidate down to 2 schools rather than 3, but that may not happen immediately. In the meantime, I do believe we need to make sure that all possible entrances, or all entrances that are frequently used should be covered. I don't think we can dare say, well, nobody's going to bother the elementary school, we don't need anything there. I think we have to cover all the bases.
Okay. We'll go back and check to see kind of where we fit with budget and
Right.
the required match that comes with the grant, so, and see what we can trim off of it.
Right, I would just make sure that we're,
Yeah. The other option
we're
is
gonna
you
do
change, you reduce the number of points of ingress. So, if you only have one, then that's the only one way. Buses, car riders, everybody is then walking down a sidewalk to come in that entrance, that one machine. But there's also a time, so you're then looking at kind of time schedules. But I think there's a solution to be found. I think we can get to a good spot there.
I know there is. I agree. And as we move on to item 5, student achievement, discussing the VALS data, student achievement will not happen without safety first. So
Exactly.
safety comes first.
Okay.
And then on to student achievement.
All right. All right, so just a quick reminder. So last year was the first year with VALS. Previously, we were talking about PALS. So VALS is the Virginia Language and Literacy Screening System. It's a pretty intense, involved literacy screening tool that, as part of the Virginia Literacy Act, was implemented in grades K through 3. It has expanded, it was K5, and then VALS was K3. and then it has expanded up along with the other parts of the Virginia Literacy Act. So we have data last year on all of our K through 3 kids. This year, who we assessed in 3rd grade changes a little bit, so I'll explain that again when we get to the results slide. But what VALS is designed to do is identify students who may be at risk for developing reading difficulties. So there's score bands that then put students into certain ranges, but it's a little bit different way of saying, you know, you passed or you didn't pass, or you're at this mark or you're at that mark. You kind of fall into zones, but the goal of VALS is to really provide more diagnostic information for teachers to target then instruction after the assessments. And so it also measures multiple components of reading that are key for comprehension, and it goes into progress over time. So again, kind of those 3 areas of decoding, encoding, and language, those are assessed in that VALS snapshot, and it helps us to identify students who may become at risk for developing reading difficulties. Okay, so here are the bands. So I bring up the bands just because it gives you some idea of how this kind of works. So one thing I would kind of point your attention to is the range. The numerical range in each band is not the same. So as we think about a 10-point grading scale, it's 10 points, like it's consistent all the way across. So the high risk range is much larger than a pretty narrow moderate risk, and then you have low risk. And again, just as point of reference, like we want more students to be in the low risk. So we want to see students moving, from my perspective, from left to right in the band. Okay, so from high risk to low risk. Okay, so the one thing I'll point out super quick, so if you go down to grade level, that column, you have K1, 2, and 3. So to note, there are only 22 students who were assessed the VALS in 3rd grade, and that's because the only students who were assessed in VALS were students who at the end of the year last year were either in moderate or high risk. So that's why there's only about 1/3 of the 3rd grade group who were given the VALS test this fall. So that's why your percentages look wonky, okay? Because you have fewer students who were administered the test, okay? So again, looking at the bands, kind of where we are in terms of high, moderate, and low risk. So I'm going to fast forward to the next slide just because it gives you a little bit of comparison from fall of last year to fall of this year. And that's looking at not following cohort. This is grade level, kindergarten last year, kindergarten this year. First grade this year, first grade last year, first grade this year. Okay, so it's not, you're not looking at the cohorts. You can do that by kind of going a little diagonal and kind of seeing, okay, how we progressed. I will also say that while we're, excited about the performance change fall kindergarten last year to fall kindergarten this year, I will also, like full disclosure, the benchmarks changed. So the state adjusted like performance levels, those scale bands, from the first year of full implementation last year to the first year of this year. So we have no say in where those bands fall. There's no adjustment for us. We send the scores to the state. They give them back to us. So again, the real value in the VALS is the diagnostic information that we get out of them to develop then reading plans for students. So any student in the high risk band, a reading plan has to be developed for that student. So our reading specialists work then to develop all of those reading plans, intervention plans for students. So a key piece right now is kind of, we knew last year, so if you think that kindergarten last year at the fall, 60% of our students were in the high risk range. That number improves over the course of the year. What we see is some summer melt or summer slide in terms of over the summer kids may not have been attending to books and reading as much as we would like. So part of our decision-making process was, okay, we need to do something different with summer school. So we've moved from a 2-week summer school to a 4-week, back to a 4-week summer school, to kind of help prevent some of that summer slide. But I know there's devoting attention to that first grade group to continue targeting interventions, and resources to the students in that group to continue their improvement, session after session. So we test in the fall, and then in the winter, and then in the spring. So, but just kind of I mean, we're seeing, again, so year to year, seeing improvement in terms of the number of kids increasing kind of in the low risk category, and then decreasing in the high risk. Again, but that first grade, there's some, we now know that that's a cohort of students who we're going to need to divert some resources to make sure that we have the supports in place.
I had a question regarding the 22, that back to the screen on the third grade, 22 students. Was that per protocol to assess only the moderate and high risk
So
students, or was that our choice?
There's some, like, the flexibility was given to schools in terms of who they chose to.
It's optional.
Yeah, so from, I believe, third grade up, we are assessing vowels either for previous year's performance, or we've got some older students, and so they were then based on SOL performance. So if they did not pass, or they were within a certain score band on their reading SOL, they were given a vowels assessment as well.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, I would just ask, to your point that the third graders were not evaluated in totality, it would be helpful for the next slide to have the numbers in there. We have the percentages, but we don't have the number of students that we're evaluating. So it's hard for me to go back and say, from this slide, it's
So looking
22 students that were evaluated, and the percents add up to 22, but the next slide, they add up to 100, but I have no idea what the number breakdown is, to just get a sense for
Okay,
the
so go
progress.
back and add the actual number.
The actual
in
numbers,
each sort of
yeah, that would be
area.
helpful
Okay.
to me, thank you.
Okay. I think I actually took it out because there were just then so many numbers on the screen, and trying to sort of like provide like a little bit of clarity in terms of digesting the information.
But maybe just for the third grade. So, because it's not, if you look at the second grade last year, which are now the third graders, then it's apples and oranges you're comparing to, because you don't have the same number of students. Thank you.
You're welcome.
How helpful do let me ask it differently. Do the teachers, have they really embraced this diagnostic information and are drilling down? I know that's a yes or no.
Well, I mean, the
answer,
elementary school especially has had very productive data meetings. So looking at STAR data, looking at VALS data for those specific grade levels, looking at kind of the first iteration of the CIP's benchmark data, and being able to sort of overlay those and having real good conversations about, okay, well, I need to go back and spend some more time on this content. So you're looking at, this is a skill assessment. CIP then gets into content acquisition, so those aren't necessarily the same things. So this is helpful on, okay, what activities do I need to put in place to build specific skills within reading and Scarborough's rope, and is it vocabulary, is it encoding, decoding? So that helps with targeting either the intervention, or just if you're seeing widespread issues, that then becomes a whole class instructional model, as opposed to, hey, these 4 kids need something, or all 24 of mine are below where we need to be, so I need to do something that's whole group rather than some smaller group intervention piece. The CIP data that they're kind of working through is sort of content. So is that a pacing question? Have I just not gotten to that in my pacing? Should I have gotten to it? Is it a test-taking piece? So a lot of the younger grades are really working through the test-taking piece component of that benchmark data. And then, you know, the middle school is going through their data meetings too, as well as the high school. The high school, the challenge is a little bit different because there aren't department planning periods. There aren't common planning times, so it's a lot of, you know, this is who I can catch at this period and that period. So they're having more meetings because the number of teachers involved is then smaller. So they're kind of doing it. But our MTSS coaches have done a really good job of helping us develop protocols to kind of work through the data and ask the right questions and make those meetings efficient and productive.
How soon do you think you'll be able to provide the CIP data overlaying something like the VALs?
I don't know. We can work on that for December and see what we can pull together. I'll see what the schools have in place already in terms of data spreadsheets and sort of overlaps. We're still working with Mastery Connect to build a more comprehensive data warehouse where we can upload ASVAB scores and other sort of outside assessments, PSAT and SAT and other things into that. So the CIP stuff occurs in Mastery Connect. But like we would have to manually upload vowels and star data and those other things to get a really good overlay. But some of the schools may have a really comprehensive spreadsheet that they're already operating off of in advance of getting the Mastery Connect solution.
I appreciate that the formulas and formats for determining this data and dealing with it are being built, are just being created. And I think once they are established, we'll have a multiplier effect in terms of usage and understanding and therefore get down to what we really need to be doing as fast as we can to help the kids. And that's what this is all for. And I applaud all the efforts that the schools are making to continue to support a data-driven division. That is how we help kids.
Agreed.
Any more comments?
I have
questions?
one.
Yes, Mr. Dobson.
Looking at the reading, prior to the new VAL system, we were failing about 1/3 of our students. Even looking at it now with the new VAL system, you're still at about 1/3 of the children. So I haven't seen much of an improvement from Plan A to Plan B.
I guess what I need clarification from you on is prior or previous VALs system. Are you talking about last year's assessment of VALs to this year's assessment of VALs, or are you talking before VALs?
Well,
I guess I'm just trying to...
The data for VALs you finally can use is just now coming out, right?
VALs is an assessment that they give, and so part of where they score leads to diagnostic information, kind of guides the teachers or interventionists, like this is where the deficit is, go do these types of activities, or the student needs more work in this particular range or that particular range. But I would, in terms of thinking of like pass fail on this is potential and not you failed or you passed. So this is based on their, and I know it's splitting hairs, but it's not a you failed the first grade reading test. It's based on this skill level at this time, you're at a higher risk to develop a reading difficulty or a moderate risk or a low risk. So even they say like the highest scores.
Instead of saying you failed, you go, you're in the larger group of the failing people. And you're in the one of the smaller groups, larger people. It's still saying the same thing in the long run.
I think yes and no.
It's, again, I'll agree with you that I want smaller numbers in the red and bigger numbers in the green. Okay, that's like, yes. But did those students fail this assessment? No. So it's.
That's a terrible way to look at something.
If the warning light comes on your engine, the check engine light, is it like, stop, your engine's gonna blow up, or like, hey, you may need to check on some things and get things, the tire pressure, you didn't fail the tire pressure check. It's, hey, we've got some indication that some attention is warranted to prevent issues from occurring.
The big thing this creates with a problem is, you gotta wait another 2 years before you can say, hey, this don't work. And then look at something else. Because you gotta give it that try. I mean, I understand all that, but it just seems like we keep going backwards every 2 years.
Probably you and I need to talk some more afterwards, because I guess I want to make sure that I'm answering your question, and I'm not sure that I'm with you right now. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, we can follow up after to make
Okay,
sure
we'll
that
take it.
I'm answering you correctly. Sorry. Any other questions?
Any more questions, comments? Thank you, Dr. Daniel. Item 6, citizens' questions, comments, or requests. Comments not pertaining to personnel or student matters. Protocol for public comment period. Mathews County residents and school employees wishing to speak should sign up with their name and address on the sheet provided. Each individual will have 3 minutes to speak. Comment period will end after 90 minutes. All comments should be directed to the school board. Speakers shall not address matters involving students or personnel, as these topics may violate confidentiality and are not appropriate in a public forum. Public comment is the school board's opportunity to listen to the speaker. Since our purpose is to hear from you, the board will not engage in dialogue with the audience or whomever is at the podium. Matters requiring a response will be directed to the superintendent for research and response. The superintendent may report back on such matters at a subsequent business meeting session as appropriate. The school board carefully considers your comments when deciding on matters brought before us. We appreciate your attendance and your input. Our first speaker this evening is Mrs. Kelly Lockerbie.
Hello, good evening. As most of you know, my son is a student with disabilities who is nonverbal, 7 years old, and he's in the disabilities classroom at the elementary school. After having multiple opportunities to observe in the classroom, I became aware that my son is being evacuated from class routinely due to disruptive and unsafe behavior towards staff and other students. Students and staff are being hit and kicked, and in fact, he was just evacuated today as per his classroom report. There is rarely a day that he is not evacuated to safety, losing valuable learning time and causing him emotional turmoil. I have emailed, phone calls, meetings with administrators, SPED directors, superintendent, emailed school board members. This situation has gone on now for over 2 months. I requested to have excused absences for my son because, quite frankly, my husband and I do not want our nonverbal autistic son exposed to violence. This was met with absolutely no help. I was, however, given the rules and explained truancy and what would happen if he misses school. So I looked at the Mathews County Public Schools Code of Conduct. On page 7, under absences, there is excused circumstances, and in that section you will find exceptional circumstance absences. Due to circumstances not listed above, that may be considered exceptional circumstances. Exceptional circumstances would be reviewed by the principal or attendance officer prior to the absence or after. So the division could have actually helped me remove my son from this situation the whole time. While I was at it, I looked at the code of conduct and looked at the guidelines for dealing with disruptive behaviors in the classroom, such as hitting, kicking, throwing objects, or any form of assault towards staff or students. And you know what? It's not allowed by anybody. There are literally guidelines in here, in writing, how to proceed. These guidelines apply to all students from kindergarten to 12th grade, disabled or not. And one of the procedures is to notify the sheriff under BZO 1, 2, and 4. And for all of you at home, that stands for behaviors that endanger self or others. It clearly states that you're supposed to notify law enforcement. I have been in contact with the sheriff about this, but as far as I'm aware, the school has not. You may think that a child in elementary school does not pose a real threat, but Newport News Public School System can tell you otherwise. After they ignored the signs and a first grader brought a gun to school and shot the teacher in front of the class.
Thank you, Mrs. Lockerbie. Our next speaker is Mrs. Sarah Ware.
We are the Ware family. My name is Sarah. My son William, my husband Charles. We have written down that we will all three present, but to save breaks, we have chosen to all present as a united front. This is to make things easier. We are here because we believe there are very serious issues regarding student safety at Mathews High School. Many of you already know me. Those that don't know me, I live with a medical condition that affects my expressive communication, and I'm already symptomatic this evening. So I request your patience as I struggle to get through what I'm trying to talk about. Thank you. On October 30th at approximately 3:17 p.m., I was late to pick my son up from school. It doesn't happen often, but this particular case, I was at a therapy appointment that ran over in Newport News. I arrived at the school, I pulled into the parking lot, and at that time, I witnessed 3 cops circling one vehicle. I didn't know what was going on. I pulled into a parking spot, saw my son in this little cove stairwell. He sits frequently to hide from the wind. Very visible on Mathews cameras. He was visible in every way. I pulled into the parking lot. I stopped. I put the car in park. Will walks across the parking lot and enters my vehicle. We put it in drive and we go to exit the parking lot. Before we are out of the aisle, before we exit completely, we hear and we see guns. We were on premise when 3 policemen pulled guns on a potentially armed suspect. During that time, I was pulling into the parking lot. My son was without protection. And we were told this school was on a lockdown. I was completely shocked. My husband is a former deputy. We are a military family. I do not shy from armed weapons in any shape, way, or form. But to witness in a place that I trust with the safety and security of my son, to see those guns pulled on someone that I don't know, could have been a student, could have been anyone, scared the ever-loving daylights out of me.
Thank you, Mrs. Ware. William Ware?
Yes, ma'am. Good evening. My name is William Ware. Most of you also know me. I am in the REST program, and I am now a cadet ensign for the program, as well as the Key Clerk President for Mathews. On October 30th, I was involved in a lockdown. I was sitting in a little cubby, like my mother said, to hide from the wind, and I was doing schoolwork. After a decent amount of time, I lost track of time. After a decent amount of time, my mother came to pick me up, and we were rolling out of the parking lot. My mother pulls out, or starts to pull out from the parking lot and looks over to the left when she hears the cops ready their weapons. We got back home safely, and after having time to settle down and process what happened, I came to realize that I didn't realize that day that the suspect had the potential to be armed. That situation, after realizing that, put a strong sense of worry and a heightened sense of awareness. I feel like, and I know, I shouldn't have to worry about seeing someone being shot, which is why I strongly believe that Mathews County Public Schools is no longer safe to attend as before. Thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Ware. Mr. Charles Ware?
Yes. This is still pertaining to the same day, same instance. I was on orders at this time. With that being said, I need to know that my son is safe. Okay? There's a lot of situations, I get situations happen. Okay? There's a lot of things that are out of control. Okay? I do understand that, but I need to know that when I'm called away to do what I have to do for this country, that my family and my son is going to be safe in this school. What happened on October 30th is absolutely unacceptable. You get the school was supposedly put on lockdown, but my son was left outside. The school supposedly was on lockdown, but yet kids were still allowed to leave. How is that possible if the school is on lockdown? Every one of you should be upset that this happened the way that it happened and students weren't protected. We did get an email stating that you guys, after action review was happening, you guys were looking over the situation. There's some good things that are coming down the pipeline, but this is a reactive situation now. Okay? When policies are reactive, it never ends up good for the students. Because heaven forbid, if you guys maintain a reactive stance on policies, the next policy you guys make will be because some kid got hurt. And that should not happen. A policy should not be written in blood. Not in this school. Not ever. So that is my parting shot on this situation. Stop being reactive. Protect our kids. If a school is on lockdown, keep the kids in the school. Pull them in. Make sure that the kids are safe. That way the cops aren't getting thrown to the wolves by the citizens. Let the cops do what they got to do. You guys do what you guys got to do and keep our kids safe. If there's a lockdown, pull them in. Lock them down. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Mr. Ware.
I'd like to thank Rotzi Candidate Ware on his promotion to ensign of the second year, I believe, right?
I am in my third year.
You're on the third year? Okay. So you were promoted to enlisted. I saw that. That's another sticking point on you, which is very good.
Thank you.
Did a good job.
Congratulations, Mr. Ware.
On top of all that, I'm also the company admin officer for my company.
Oh, good, okay.
Good job.
Very good.
Our next speaker is Ms. Julie Clark.
I'm Julie Clark from Hudgens. I prepared something a little bit different, but I want to start by saying, as I've mentioned before, I've studied school shootings and related issues since before Columbine. So with that being said, when you spoke about Verkada earlier, did you know that Verkada in August of 2024 had a $2.95 million fine from the FTC? If you go to Google and type in Verkada fine, you will find all of the news articles that will come up, and including one on the FTC website. So that's a little bit of research you can do with them.
Thank you.
So what I was going to speak tonight, of course, is on safety. So we don't need to go over everything that from the last school board meeting and the town hall, as other issues have arisen since then, but it's obvious that parents, students, and the stakeholders of Mathews County are aware that safety is not really a priority. I was doing some research and found an older article from the Daily Press newspaper. It said that the original article was written in 2007, just after the Virginia Tech massacre, and updated in 2019. The article is on safety issues in Mathews County Public Schools. It reads in part, in June, a Pinkerton Consulting and Investigations agent spent 3 days performing a top-down assessment of county schools. The firm was hired to recommend security improvements in the wake of the April massacre at Virginia Tech. The security consultant wrote in her report that Mathews faced a moderate threat overall, but some deficiencies like relaxed and absent security on grounds placed the schools at high risk. And it also says, Mathews County Public Schools are very vulnerable to violent attacks from offenders determined to cause harm to innocent students, as well as victimization from gangs and violent youth from neighboring school districts. Several areas were found to be lacking. Those included incomplete fencing, unsecured doors, obsolete or non-existent locks, and a lack of campus security presence. Holloran said that when work is completed, school officials want to present the changes to the General Assembly as a model for other schools. October 19 to 25 of this year was Safe Schools Week. A number of Virginia's public schools observed this week, but I didn't hear a thing about public school safety being observed in Mathews County Public Schools. Neither did any of the parents whom I asked. So Mathews schools have gone from wanting to be presented as a model for other schools down to serious security lapses. Our students and staff deserve the basic security measures they were promised and paid for with our taxes almost 2 decades ago.
Ms. Clark, thank you for your comments. Our next speaker is Ms. Pat Mullen.
Good evening. My name is Pat Moen, and I am the I used to be the Middlesex volleyball coach. I am the Mathews volleyball coach, and with me is Barbara Ball, one of the parents of one of my athletes. I have stood before this board before on many occasions as the volleyball coach. On 3 such occasions, it was as the volleyball state champion. I come tonight to ask for you to find a way to provide a trainer to our athletic program at Mathews High School. In the past, we've had very good trainers who have helped me and other coaches care for our athletes. I would like to point out a couple of situations that occurred this volleyball season. First, I had an athlete twist her ankle during practice. I did all the normal things, including ice, elevation. I called her parent, who took her for medical evaluation. It was a sprain, and she was in a boot for 2 weeks. She continued to come to practices, but just sat and watched. In past years, a trainer would have begun rehab exercises with this athlete. When cleared, it took this young lady a good while to get back into the swing of things. Another situation is a young lady who got hit in the head with a volleyball. Barbara's daughter. It was September 24th. It was a hard hit to the face. We immediately sat her out and got her ice. She didn't feel well, so we called her mother. They took her for medical evaluation and was diagnosed with a concussion. This young lady never got to play again this season. After being cleared to return to school, the next step was return to play. The Virginia High School League protocol says it is a 5-step process. Usually, in the past, this has been done in 5 consecutive days with a certified trainer. But since we don't have a certified trainer to do this process, our athlete had to schedule 5 sessions across the York River. Scheduling was difficult and could not be done on consecutive days. We tried reaching out to Gloucester and West Point trainers, and although they would have been willing to help us, their insurance would not allow it. So Caitlin missed school time, and the parents missed work time. The parents incurred an expense of over $500, not including gas money, and she never got back to the season. Her parents could not have been more helpful or understanding. I'm not sure all parents would be that way. A third situation, another athlete got hit in the head at practice on a Thursday. She wanted to play so bad she didn't tell the coaching staff or her parents. The following Monday, when she was nauseous and had a headache, she finally told an assistant coach when she felt she couldn't complete a drill. She begged with us to talk to her mom because, in her words, her mom wouldn't believe her. Here are 2 texts I received from this athlete, and I quote, "It really isn't making sense to me why no one will take me seriously other than you guys. My mom lectured me after we left last night when we talked to her parents. Then she told the doctor I was being dramatic. I wouldn't have even said anything to coach last night if I didn't feel like my situation was worsening my performance. It was costing my team more than it was helping."
I'm sorry, Ms. Mullen, your time is up. Thank you.
Can she finish reading?
Are you Sarah Brown? You are not Sarah Brown. There will be an opportunity after signed speakers have spoken.
I can finish?
We'll take an additional speaker at that point. Ms. Sarah Brown?
Hi, I'm Sarah Brown. I'm going to finish up Ms. Moen's and then I'll get to mine. We're talking on the same subjects. Excerpts from another text from the same athlete. Again, and I quote, "Mom got me up for school because she said it's nothing more than sitting in a chair. You're not doing anything. She said it's a minor concussion. I said, well, obviously, if it's messing with my vision, something here is wrong. I complained about my head Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and yesterday, and you ignored it. Members of the school board, I implore you to do what is necessary to bring a trainer back to our athletes. Years ago, we had a trainer. These 2 ladies and their family with a concussion would have had that support. They would have had a baseline cognitive test to compare with after the concussion, giving more information to get these athletes back on track, both in their schoolwork and their sport. The young lady with a sprained ankle would have had the support in rehabbing her ankle. Please, please, I hate that we are not moving forward with the research in concussions and other sports injuries. We should rely on professionals to do the job right for our young people." And then from me, good evening, members of the school board. My name is Sarah Brown. I'm a 4th-generation coach for Mathews High School, a proud member of the 2017 state championship volleyball team, and currently serve as one of the assistant coaches for the varsity volleyball team. This season alone, as Ms. Moen had just stated, we had players suffer concussions, sprained ankles, and in addition, back and knee injuries and more. In these moments, our athletes needed immediate professional care, not just a coach doing their best, but somebody specifically trained to evaluate and treat sports injuries. We had a player who had to miss school and practice time and travel 45 minutes to an hour multiple times a week to receive the proper rehabilitation for a concussion. Another player pushed through the pain, as Ms. Moen said, and wasn't taken as seriously as she should have been if there would have been a trainer to back her up. The trainer could have advocated for them and ensured that their injury was properly recognized and treated. Athletic trainers don't just tape ankles, they prevent injuries, respond to emergencies, and build trust with our student athletes. Our athletes deserve to have someone on site who they can trust in the moment when something happens, someone they can turn to immediately without hesitation. When a student goes down, there should be no uncertainty, no waiting to see if a parent can leave work, no hoping that a coach can make the right call under pressure. A certified trainer provides reassurance, expert evaluation, and a clear plan from the very first moment of an injury. That immediate care not only protects their physical health, but also their confidence and mental well-being and overall sense of safety in our sport.
Ms. Brown?
Our kids deserve better.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Ms. Jeanette Mead.
I'm Jeanette Mead, my granddaughter Grace, she goes to Mathews High School. We're here to talk about safety. I'm thrilled to see that you guys are taking this serious. And what I saw tonight is phenomenal. I mean, we're glad to see that. My husband was picking up the girls at the last lockdown. Had no clue that anything was going on. We need to do better. The kids were outside. We got to do better. Notifying parents, grandparents. He's their taxi. He didn't get an email. He didn't get a text. We have to do better. The other thing is, we go on walks. When we go on walks, they tell me who's seeing who, what class they hate, what class they like. When we went on our walk, they talked about where to hide in the school if there's a shooter. She's a straight-A student. She's had 3 of her writings published. She's a success for Mathews. She's not an exception. Her friends are all like this. They're smart, they're good kids, and they don't feel safe. She can't do her work if she's looking to see, where do I hide? Where do I go? We got to do better. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mead. Our next speaker is Ms. Bohannon Stewart.
Good evening. I really enjoyed the spaghetti dinner last Thursday night with the band, and I really loved seeing some of my former students. And it was really nice to see parents coming together to fundraise and support the band program. I know that parents with the Athletic Booster Club do the same for their athletes as well, and it just warms my heart to see that. So something else that I enjoyed about last week happened at New Kent Middle School. I was invited to go back for their Veterans Day program, and New Kent Middle School does an awesome job. So I was super excited to go back for another great program, and they allowed me to come early to watch students enter in the morning through the weapons detection system. I never got to see that last year because I had a first block class I had to teach. It was only first block planning teachers that were involved in that. So that ran very well, and I plan on sending some of you a summary of what I saw so that you can, maybe you'll find that helpful as you do planning for implementing something similar here in Mathews. So, but while I was there, other than of course being impressed with how they handled morning entry, I started thinking about the fact that I didn't really see hardly any new faces there in the staff. Like I was one of the few that left. And so most staff members at New Kent Middle School chose to stay. And in a middle school large enough to have 2 teachers for each grade level and subject, New Kent Middle School must be doing something right to keep most of their staff. I enjoyed the staff I worked with, including the principals, and I started thinking about, why does New Kent Middle School keep most of their staff? Perhaps they are good at making their staff feel appreciated and supported. I did like the way they take the time during every staff meeting to recognize staff members who go above and beyond. We would nominate staff members that we felt were deserving ahead of time in a Google form to a designated staff member that ran that, and then they'd make a slideshow and we'd vote as staff members. So these were not picked by principals, they were picked by the staff. Okay, another thing that I noticed is that on the exit form from New Kent County Public Schools, I was asked to rate my supervisor. I made sure that upper administration knew that I adored the principals that I worked with on this form, and whenever I did ask them for help, they were responsive and did whatever they could for me. I don't remember, I mean, I could be wrong because it was a while ago now, over a year ago, but I don't remember being asked to rate my supervisor on an online exit form that I was given from Mathews County Public Schools. Principals evaluate their staff, so I think it's only fair that the staff also evaluate how supportive their supervisor is. And I can send you the form that New Kent used for exiting employees, because I emailed it into them after I handwrote on it, after I left. So I still have it. Now, if Mathews has administrators that are expected to support staff, it'll be easier for us to keep our teachers, and I expect we'll see benefits with student achievement as a result.
Thank you, Ms. Bohannon-Stewart.
Okay, is my time up?
Yes.
Okay.
Ms. Amy O'Neill.
Good evening. I'm Amy O'Neill, Athletic Director for Mathews High School, and I'm speaking on behalf of Mathews High School Athletics. I am speaking tonight about the need for an athletic trainer. Again, to reiterate what the coaches have said, it is very needed. And we have had a trainer in the past, contracted through Pivot, and they have tried to get us a trainer. They have put an ad out and didn't have very high response. We did have one person that applied, and we thought we got someone. But to be fair, to work at Pivot as an athletic trainer, you have to work at the high school, and you also have to work in the clinic. So honestly, I wouldn't apply for that job because you're already working at the school, God knows how many hours at night, and in the clinic. So my request is for us to hire someone independently through the school system that is invested in our school system, invested in our kids, and gets to know our children and know how they operate, how they function, what their capabilities are, and what they look like when they're injured. What a trainer is supposed to do, they ensure immediate professional injury assessment and care. They have expertise in concussion protocol, which right now we don't have anyone doing our concussion baseline testing because we have no certified trainer. Critical emergency preparedness. They focus on injury prevention. They do comprehensive medical documentation. They have safe evidence-based return to play decisions, as they were saying before, that Barbara had to take off work. Caitlin had to miss hours of school, and the gas and whatnot and co-pays that they had to pay are really unnecessary if we had a paid trainer on staff. They have equitable care for all student athletes. They reduce healthcare costs for families. They support coaches, teachers, school operations. They enhance their school reputation, the community trust. They mitigate district liability. And they just promote comprehensive student wellness. In conclusion, I want to make sure that that you know that I do get an EMT on staff for the high injury-prone sports, which is wrestling and football, in my opinion. Hopefully we'll have football again. But an EMT, and he's wonderful, an EMT and an ambulance we do have, doesn't know our kids. They don't know a lot. If you have been around an injury with an athlete, if you go to the doctor, they're going to put you out for 4 to 6 weeks right off the bat because of liability, because of a quick visit, whatever. If you have a trainer that's invested and really knows these kids, they know if their injury can be rehabbed. They are going to rehab them right there at school. They don't have to be sent to another medical professional. And I think it would be peace of mind to all parents and coaches and staff if we had someone there that's looking out for the safety of our athletes.
Thank you, Coach O'Neill.
Thank you.
Do we have anyone who would like to approach the podium now, as all signed up speakers have spoken? I would ask that each speaker reiterate their name and address for the clerk, please.
Good evening, Board. Sheriff April Edwards, Mathews County Sheriff's Office. Just a couple things I wanted to hit on tonight. First off, I hate to do it in this fashion just because I'm getting a lot of texts this evening. There was an incident at the elementary school, and I really need y'all to put out a message to parents because there's some alarming. Okay, making sure you're aware. Okay, then to go back to some of the topics we've discussed tonight, just so the public is aware, yes, the SRO grant was awarded for 2 positions. That would mean one on the Thomas Hunter Elementary School campus and then another for the high school campus. I can't speak too much about that because it is a cash match involved, but our Board of Supervisors will take that up in 2 days. So just so parents and faculty are aware, you might want to reach out to some board members about that vote for Thursday. Anyway, as far as I'm concerned, I think the thanks goes to the school board and the Board of Supervisors because, as with any cash match, who has any kind of budget slated for something like this and when we're halfway through a budget year. So I'm just going to express my thanks to you all. If we can make this happen, then I think you all deserve the credit. In regards to the weapons detection system, I did sit on the Zoom call with Dr. Daniel and the vendors, and I am all in favor of that. I did express some of the same concerns that you all have. I think that it sounds like the grant is just covering for middle school and high school, but I think you just can't leave that one school vulnerable. So it may be something that out of pocket, or maybe as some other grants come up, maybe we might be able to find some funding someplace. But I would definitely encourage you either reduce your points of entry or you have one at every entry you plan on using, including at all bus loops, because to shuffle them from point A to point B in a school day with everything else going on, it's going to be too convoluted. And then, let me see. There was, okay, you mentioned, Dr. Daniel, the DCJS on January 13th. The only thing I made a note that I just wanted to mention to that is when we had our meeting earlier I think it was last week with Marie Walls, we talked about this class, and I kind of look like the deer in headlights. I wasn't for sure which class it is, but this is a class that the faculty has been trained on. This is the one that Sergeant Hill is an instructor for, so I just want to make sure that they have had that training because she shows up on that list. It's called Civilian Response Casualty Care, so that is something that has already, it's different? Okay, all right. And lastly, the one thing that I did want to touch on is I wish the Ware family was still here, but I just wanted to say that I think it's fair to say that we are all keeping safety at the forefront, and I think that we are all committed to ensuring that these schools are safe, and we're going to do everything in our power to ensure that every single one of our students is safe. So we're putting those things in place, and I think with the people on board, we can make it happen. One of the things that I've learned doing my own research just in the past couple weeks is I don't think like an educator, and you all don't think like a cop, okay? And that's where we have to lean on each other and have faith that if I'm telling you something about security, we need to put our stock in that. If you're telling me something about education, go for it, because that's not my area. But we have to admit where we're stronger at, and then we work as a team to accomplish something. So that's all I have this
Thank you,
evening.
Sheriff Edwards.
Thank you
very much. Is there anyone else who'd like to approach the podium? Again, please state your name and address for the clerk.
Good evening. Thank you for your service. Sharon Fry, Port Haywood. I was really impressed about the writers contest from WHRO. My question is, have our children ever participated in that? I know you can't answer, but I'm just going to ask them anyway. I was curious about, is there a prize if it's a contest? I was concerned about the topics, what the topics would be for our children. Anytime you can enter a writing contest, that's incredible. What achievement you could accomplish. I was wondering what grade levels were included, if it was different grade levels. Will the parents be notified so that they can encourage their children to participate? And I was wondering if you could answer my questions, but I guess you can't. So anyway, also I wanted to compliment on the spaghetti band dinner. It was so fun. Our children in the band are performing unbelievably, and anybody who hasn't attended the band, I call it a festival, they need to come. It's so fun. Anyway, our children are doing great. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fry. Who else would like to approach the podium? Ms. Moen, do you have someone? Let's see. To be consistent with the rules, I'm going to have to ask if your message could be carried forth possibly by another person, as you've already spoken.
This is a message regarding a different subject. Is that okay?
You will have a total of 3 minutes to speak at
That's
public
all I want.
comment.
I don't even want that much.
You've had 3 minutes prior. Now, there is a public comment period after. In a few events from now, there's another public comment period. Is there anyone else who would like to approach the podium?
Hello, my name is Claire West. I live at 3081 Boca Hill Road in Cobbs Creek, Virginia. And it seems a little bit out of place tonight because everybody's talking about safety and other heavy issues. But I did want to mention, number one, we've raised a lot of children in Mathews County. We absolutely love it here. We moved here 13 years ago, and it has served our family very, very well. One of the programs that I absolutely adore about Mathews is the robotics. And when we moved back here from a short absence in Tennessee a couple of years ago, we found that the robotics, our oldest son had been a part of it in high school the year that they went to nationals way back in the day. And so when we moved back here and we found they were working with the 4-H, we signed up our younger son to be a part of it last year, and it was absolutely wonderful. When I went to sign him back up this year, I called the 4-H and they referred me to the high school. And while I am absolutely thrilled that it has grown to the point where you guys are cooperating with the robotics again, I seem to be having trouble as a homeschooler getting him onto the team. So while I don't want to impugn on the growth of the robotics, because it is absolutely essential to the community and to the future, especially to the middle school and the high school generation of this year and today, with everything that's going on in career transferable skills that robotics gives children, I would implore you to consider opening up the robotics membership to the community, or at least find a way to grandfather in the children that were participating in it very recently, as in last year or maybe the year before.
Thank you very much, Ms. West. Is there another speaker who would like to approach the podium who has not already spoken? There being none, we will move on to item 7, Superintendent's Informational Reports by Dr. Daniel. Item 7.1, the attendance update.
All right, I'll kind of do the quick overview on the attendance update. It's on the screen this time, so we'll kind of, let's see if the remote will work from where I am. Yep. Okay, so, all right, it's easier to see from the screen behind me. But so comparison for the October attendance and then tardy reports. So you're kind of seeing some, again, it's declines in most areas. There's some increases in some areas in terms of chronically absent at the high school on pace this year versus last year. Also, again, at Thomas Hunter. But a lot of the other category areas, again, the numbers are a bit smaller this October compared to last October. Again, that's continuing the trend of improved attendance rates. The credit goes out to office staff and teachers for reaching out to families and encouraging attendance. It's communication with families to improve that daily attendance. I also wanted to, we had some conversations from last board meeting to this board meeting. I think we talked a little bit about it at the board work session, but in terms of improvement rates in our attendance over the last 3 years. And so this slide was presented at an earlier work session as we were, some of the metrics that the state uses and actually the federal government uses to talk about school quality. Chronic absenteeism is one. So a student is considered chronically absent if they missed more than 10% of the school year. So the goal, the federal goal and then the state goal is to be under the 15% of your students missing no more than 10% of your days, assigned days. So if you look at the chart, you see from the division level, then the high school level, Thomas Hunter, and then the elementary school. So the high school just missed that 15% mark last school year. The Thomas Hunter and the elementary school were able to get under that mark last year. And those are significant gains from where we were 3 years ago, kind of coming out of COVID, and some of that's, like, I don't know if COVID hangover is the right word, but just re-engaging and reestablishing expectations. So lots of hard work has been done. Gains have been made in terms of attendance and increasing student engagement and trying to find activities and opportunities for students. But if there are any questions from the board on attendance information? No, so, okay. All right, I'll move on to several things for 7.2. So there are multiple items here for your review. So there's the high school financial report, the middle school financial report, elementary school financial report. I am going to, I guess, break a little bit from the agenda, and then if you have any other questions about other items under superintendents, but I will ask Ms. Hundley to give kind of a little bit of an overview on the FY26 expenditure report. And this is a piece that I've asked her to get started with to help kind of clarify some of the expenditure reports and give the board a synopsis as to where we stand with finances at this point. Oh, sorry. And I guess for the board and for the community, thank you, Ms. Hundley. Emma Hundley is the new Chief Financial Officer for the division, starting October 1st, has been working pretty diligently on getting up to speed on our finances, making many recommendations to improve our practices, working with the county in terms of auditing and just making sure that we're on track and giving accurate and up-to-date projections when I come to her and say, hey, we need to find 89,047 to be able to make some things happen. And the good thing about Ms. Hundley is working with her for a month, she has a keen eye for how accounting and the finances are supposed to work, is working to improve ours, but she's also good to say no. Like, she frequently will tell me, no, you can't do that right now, or no, we need to do it this other way. So with no further ado, if you can, Ms. Hundley.
Well, good evening, Board Chair Dr. Gibbs and the members of the school board. Thank you, Dr. Daniel, for that introduction. I'm truly grateful for the opportunity to serve Mathews County Public Schools, and it has been a privilege getting to know the staff and the leadership throughout the division. I will provide an overview of the fiscal year 26 expenditure report. The expenditures through the end of October indicates that the division is operating within our budgeted projections for the first quarter. We have expended 24.55% of our total operating budget through October. Across the operating fund, functional areas are trending between 20 and 40% expended, which is where we are expected to be at this point in the fiscal year. The expenditure report now includes totals by major functions to provide a clear insight into spending trends across the division. The percentage of expenditures through October per function are as follows. For instruction, we expended 21.70% of our budget amount through October. Administration, attendance, and health, 31.9%. Pupil transportation, 26.8%. Operations, 33.58%. And technology is 39.83%. Technology trends slightly higher because we actually pay a majority of our instructional software in July and August. Based on the current projections and our continued conservative spending practices, the school division is positioned to contribute funding to a school resource officer during fiscal year 26. This reflects our commitment to supporting student and staff safety while maintaining a balanced and responsible budget. Overall, the division is currently in a stable financial position as we progress through the fiscal year. Again, thank you for your warm welcome. My commitment is to provide clear, honest, and forward-looking financial leadership, and I look forward to working closely with the school board to ensure financial transparency.
Thank you, Ms. Hundley. Members, do you have any questions at this time? We are looking forward to working with you. And thank you for being at our meeting tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hundley. So continuing, there's a little delay, I guess, so in terms of the mics working. So just some other items for the board's information. So some regulations and exhibits. So there's a regulation for your review regarding public donations to the schools. We've had some conversation about the board approving donations and kind of that process for approving that. The board had asked me to develop some regulation related to that. It is KBA-E is updating some of our FOIA request practices to keep us in line with Commonwealth of Virginia FOIA regulations. Again, that goes into KBA, the regulation as well. Two things in terms of timelines. So there's a timeline for the K2 in science adoption as well as mathematics instructional materials adoption timeline. So I'll bring that to your attention. And then also just a salary request memo that is going out to staff for the December 16th budget work session. I've requested the faculty and staff advisory to work on a survey and encourage their participation in that process to provide their requests directly to the board as well. So, and that's public information.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any questions on any of those items?
Let me just look 1 second. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Actually, I do have a question.
Okay, Mrs. Hodges.
Regarding the policies that you've included, are these to be approved? Are they already approved? I'm not quite sure.
Okay,
Maybe it's for the chair as well as the superintendent.
Okay, so the board votes to approve policies.
Right.
In many cases, those policies then have regulations that are attached to those. So the superintendent is charged with developing those regulations and informing the board of what those regulations are.
Kind of operationalize them.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
thank
So
you.
typically, the policies are somewhat broad in context.
Mhm.
And so then usually those policies say, and the superintendent will develop regulations to apply this policy, et
Thank
cetera,
you.
et cetera.
All right. There are no further questions. We'll move on to item 8, 8.1. Mr. Morgan, you will be leading us in the VSBA Delegate Assembly discussion and consensus.
Okay. Yeah, I will be a delegate to the VSBA convention this coming Thursday. And there are 3 legislative proposals that I would need the board's consensus on how to vote for these 3 proposals. Proposal number 3 is the assessment reform and accountability reform. This is a proposed amendment. Does anyone need a refresher on the changes proposed to that, or you should have it on your attachment?
But, Mr. Morgan, for the benefit of the public, I think we should review that again, so
We'll
that the
review that again?
conversation will
Okay,
will
it's
make sense.
pretty lengthy, but we'll go through it. The VSBA supports the establishment of a balanced assessment and accountability system as defined by local school boards that utilizes a more complete picture of student learning by providing both measures of achievement, such as standards of learning and state-approved authentic measures of individualized student growth over time. Furthermore, the VSBA supports a reduction in the number of SOL tests to carefully selected grade levels and content areas to permit the reallocation of assessment dollars and instructional time. The Virginia School Boards Association also supports a comprehensive review of state content standards, curriculum guidelines, and assessments to ensure that policies promote culturally responsive educational practices free of systemic racism, discrimination, and background knowledge biases. The VSBA supports maintaining a system of accountability standards which weights growth measures at least as heavily as proficiency/mastery measures in assessing elementary and middle schools. Additionally, VSBA supports evaluating English learners appropriately, continuing to exempt them from the achievement and growth calculations for 11 semesters. If the Board of Education passes standards that do not do this, VSBA urges the General Assembly to pass legislation that would require those standards to be modified accordingly. The proposed change, or shall we say addition to that, is as follows. Virginia's public schools are committed to delivering high-quality instruction and ensuring student success. Therefore, VSBA supports legislation to provide school divisions with a minimum of 1 full academic year to prepare for and implement any major policy changes that affect curriculum, instruction, assessment, or accountability systems. That was a lot. So, back to the board, if we could get consensus of the board on that particular item.
Members? We're not taking a vote, by the way, but we are just discussing and trying to reach consensus on if we are for or against this amendment, so that when Mr. Morgan goes as a delegate, he is voting for the entire board on the subject matter. Well, I will start. I am against this. I would vote no. I do not see that we need to institute waiting on implementation of information that is not explicit. It's pertaining to any major policy changes. I'm not sure what that means. So I would not want to withhold or slow the implementation of high-quality instruction and measures to help our students be better sooner.
It just seems there's a lot in this. It just seems like I agree with some I don't particularly agree with. Certainly the reduction in number of SOL tests stands out to me as where we as our Commonwealth need to move forward. We have so much emphasis on the SOLs that I believe we're losing. We're just losing some of the other parts of education and learning because of the numbers with SOLs. So a couple other ones in here I don't really have a strong opinion on. I do have mixed feelings about the growth measures. You know, if you pass, you pass. If I don't know, it just seems to me that muddies the waters. So that I'm again, there's a lot in this. As I just said, some I agree with, some I don't have an opinion on.
Well, having been in the classroom myself, I have seen and I have heard teachers that were against the number of SOLs that the children took and felt like they had to teach to the SOL, losing a lot that they would like to actually have the children learn. So I can certainly go with that point. There is a lot here, and I'm like my colleague here. I'm for some and I'm against some. So I don't envy you in your voting.
Well, he's gonna represent the five of us.
Right.
So we gotta give him a vote of what he's voting for up there. And just to let people know how some of this stuff it reads backwards sometimes. You're trying to get something passed for one thing, and the way it's written, it sounds like it's for something else. And that's what a couple of these sound like. With the way they're written, I'm here to tell you I'm going to vote against all three of them. And a lot of it has to do with the way it's written. I don't understand the way it's written. Mary don't understand it. So that's my look at it.
Mr. Morgan?
I believe I'm going to have to vote against, or my opinion would be against that particular one, and mainly because they want you to take a full academic year before you prepare for and implement any major policy changes that affect curriculum, instruction, assessment, or accountability. I just feel like if you can identify a need to modify something, whether it's a policy or just the way that you conduct instruction or assessment, I can't see why we should be required to wait a year to make an improvement. That's my biggest turn off with it. So I would have to say that I'm opposed to that particular one.
So we do not have consensus, but we have a majority that feels that your vote should be no for the board on this point.
I'm good with that if the board is. Like I said, I want to represent the board, not necessarily myself.
No, absolutely, you're representing the board and not yourself.
Okay, anything further on that one, Dr. Gibbs?
Board? No.
No?
Thank you.
Okay, so the next proposal is legislative proposal number 6. This is a real short one. It's a proposal, and it's to add, or create, I guess, a policy here. It says, remove chronic absenteeism as an indicator in accountability and accreditation models used to rate public schools. In other words, chronic absenteeism would not play a part in how any school is assessed or rated.
I mean, I'll jump in first on this one. I thought this was a federal accountability, so I'm a bit perplexed that this is even an option for the state to do this. As much as I don't like to see the numbers with chronic absenteeism, I do believe students need to be in school to learn, and I think that, so I have some difficulty. The purpose of having it as an indicator is very meaningful and productive, and I think we need to keep it. Now, I think it's a bit rigid in the way that they look at the indicator, and I'd like some amending to that, but that's not what they're asking. So I would say I don't support this. And I know it's a pill to have to be looking at it each month, but the purpose is our kids need to be here to learn, and this holds our feet to the fire.
I agree. This is ludicrous to remove this. We absolutely have to have that requirement. We need to focus on absenteeism. If you remove chronic absenteeism as an indicator, it won't be looked at all. Children it won't be a priority to make sure they're in school. We have worked diligently in the school division to improve absenteeism rates, and it is helping. It is happening. I think it would be a travesty to remove this element and shirk the responsibility that we have to build relationships with our students and our families and getting them in school to learn.
I totally agree with that comment. We've been working hard. You've just seen it on the board up here when Dr. Daniels went over it. And it's clear kids have to be in school to learn. So I agree.
Mr. Dobson?
I'm voting no against it.
Mr. Morgan?
I also am opposed to that. I think we need to continue to look at chronic absenteeism. Bottom line is, if the kids aren't in school, they can't learn.
Have we ever decided what the number is for a student to fail because lack of days? I just have to bring that up.
You do.
I'm gonna miss you, Mr. Dobson.
Say it again.
I'm gonna miss you, Mr. Dobson.
All right.
I'm gonna miss that question every time we talk about attendance. But I would push back and say, look, I mean, without the administrative failure or the attendance failure, we've still made significant gains in reducing chronic absenteeism, i.e. improving attendance, without having that failure piece after like a certain mark. So, but
I mean,
it's a debate
days,
for another day.
It tells you how many days, but you don't have to follow that.
Thank you, Mr. Dobson. Mr. Morgan?
Yes, okay, we done with number 6?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Legislative proposal number 8, enrollment cap for virtual Virginia. And this is a proposed amendment to an existing legislative position. All right, it currently reads, Virginia school divisions continue to face drastic budget cuts at both state and local levels and are faced with the possibility of eliminating classes. What they want to do here is delete especially advanced placement courses and add this verbiage, including advanced placement courses, dual enrollment, and other similar courses. It goes on. Technology and online courses such as Virtual Virginia can provide a cost-saving alternative for school divisions. Virtual Virginia is a state-run online course offerings, has an overall cap on the number of students in the Commonwealth that can enroll in its online courses, and they want to add this verbiage at no cost to localities. In addition, there are caps on the number of students that each school division may enroll in each course at no cost to the division. Once the state cap is reached, school divisions must pay for additional students to enroll in courses. The enrollment cap in Virtual Virginia should be increased from its present capacity to accommodate more students to participate, including advanced courses in a cost-effective manner. Additional verbiage would read that may not be offered in school divisions without qualified staffing. They do have a little note here, rationale. This legislative budget priority needs to be revised to raise the free enrollment cap that will provide additional flexibility to divisions wishing to alleviate staffing issues by using the state's Virtual Virginia program while expanding opportunities for students.
Thoughts from members?
I support this. I think as a small division, we need to have as many options to offer these advanced courses to our students. We are limited with our number of students and with our faculty. And to be able to do that without it, when you meet the maximum without it costing money to the division. So I am in support of this.
I don't see it addressed here. It's talking about the cap and raising it, but I don't see a number attached to that.
That's not discussed.
And that's something that I think we need to know an answer to. I'm in support of the students having the ability to learn, and Virtual Virginia is another option, as Ms. Hodges stated. I have a question, like I say, I have a question there, but I think it's good to keep or to have for the students.
Mr. Dobbs?
I vote no.
Would you like to elaborate?
Yeah, it's, you're asking one group of kids to go against another group of kids, is the way I kind of look at it. You know, if you get these kids and you guys don't get a certain amount, then you ain't got to worry about it. But if you go over here and you get a certain amount of kids, now you got to worry about it. And I don't think it's anything that each school system should go along and pay the difference in. It should be offered at the same to everybody.
So it sounds like yes. I guess if I can add a little information on Virtual Virginia and how I guess maybe it works in terms of seats. And I'll be honest, I don't know the cap number, Ms. Hundley. Do you know the number of free seats that we get? No. I want to say, I think it's like 10. I want to say it's somewhere around 10 seats. Beyond that, we pay a tuition fee for each student who is enrolled in a Virtual Virginia class. Here's the part you're going to like, is that our tuition cost is based on our local composite index. So we end up paying, once we go over the free slots, we pay a little bit higher tuition for every student to then access a Virtual Virginia class, if we can get them in. So, like, part of this is, if there is a push to remove the cap from Virtual Virginia, the challenge is still going to be finding seats in those classes for students, because it's not unlimited class. I mean, there's a live teacher who is either doing synchronous or asynchronous instruction. So, like, it doesn't mean they're gonna, like, be able to offer a seat for everybody who wants it. Also, part of, to, again, dig into this a little bit, is the state's accountability system is looking at enrollments and performance in AP, IB, dual enrollment courses. So small school divisions in rural areas aren't able to offer access or hire staff to offer those in person. So they're seeking ways to meet the state's accountability process, but when they're, like, I would say us to some degree, being able to attract and have multiple dual enrollment in-house opportunities isn't financially, like, feasible for us to do that. So they're looking, I think this proposal is trying to open up the opportunities within Virtual Virginia without a financial impact to school divisions, and it's also related to the new accountability system that we're still waiting on results from. So I think that's a little bit of the background on Virtual Virginia and offerings, and especially related to those finite areas, because Virtual Virginia offers probably, I would say, close to 70, don't hold me to that, but don't quote me, but around, I mean, they offer like a plethora of things, from Japanese to American Sign Language to Latin to calculus to chemistry to dual enrollment, like, it runs the gamut.
Right now, what is the average class size that you're required before you start paying that?
I think it's 10, I think we get 10 free slots.
For everything?
In Virtual Virginia, not 10 per class. I think it's 10 per school. We get 10 free placements.
All right, so you get
After
10.
that, we pay, I want to say, about $375 per student per class.
Per student per class?
Somewhere around there.
How many do you have right now?
Hang on. Sorry, 450.
All right. How many do you have right now taking a class?
I don't know that I've got that at my fingertips. I'd have to get the Virtual Virginia contact at the high school. It's smaller than it was
Maybe
in years.
20?
I was gonna say it's probably closer to 40. I think Ms. Hunley's whispering in my ear. It's like in years past, like, we've run all of our students in for econ and personal finance when we didn't have a teacher. Like, every student would be in a Virtual Virginia class, so we're paying the tuition for every one of those students. So it kind of depends on the year and the schedule and the like. But
All
I
right,
think,
so you're paying $450 per student, and you're looking at maybe, what did you say, 40 for a class size?
well, for enrollment, I mean, it's not 40 in a class. So
Okay.
they may be taking a range of different classes, but anything, once we have 10 over, I'm gonna say again, 10 kids taking Virtual Virginia, any kid in any class, like number
All right, so you
11
get
through
10
40.
10 freebies, all right.
Right.
But now you're looking at per class, per whatever you're teaching. Some has more attractions than others.
I think what this is trying to do is remove the burden of school divisions having to pay tuition for students going into those advanced level courses. I don't think it's trying to say just any and every course, because there are a lot of elective courses. I think what this is trying to do is target, knowing that it's part of the accountability system coming down the pipe in the next, whenever we get the results. But AP and dual enrollment are big indicators for a high school's performance, so they're trying to create a way so that smaller schools aren't disadvantaged in that accountability system by providing access to these kinds of classes for free in virtual Virginia, if that makes sense.
If I can give you an example, especially in a small school division, this is former school counselor speaking. So in a small school division, for example, if you're taking band, and the same time band is offered in the schedule, that's when the AP English class is. So you either have to choose, give up band, or to take the AP class. This gives that student an option to still be in band and take an AP class online. So especially in a small school division, when you have limitations, because what we call singletons like band, a lot of the higher achieving students, you have to make difficult choices. This opens up another door for them to continue to take challenging classes without losing out on some of these, what we call singletons. Does that help?
No, because band would be very hard to do that in.
What do you mean?
Oh, you haven't got a teacher sitting there listening to you.
No, I'm not talking, the band they take, might have to give up their AP English class.
Oh.
You see what I'm saying? This gives them a chance to still take that advanced class.
Well, you can't give up English class. That's the one you're required to take for 4 years.
But that's an advanced placement. This is a higher level English class. It's not the general English.
Okay.
This gives our high achieving students more opportunities where especially in a small school division, they don't have them like they do even in Gloucester. Gloucester has more opportunities for higher achieving students than we do.
Can I add something here? The way that this system, the Virtual Virginia, currently works is that there are caps on not only the number of free enrollment slots, but also the paid slots. After you've used up your free ones and you want to buy, there's an overall cap. All righty. Once that cap is reached, school divisions must pay for additional students to enroll in the course. Okay, the enrollment cap in Virtual Virginia should be increased from its present capacity to accommodate more students to participate, including the advanced courses that may or may not be offered in school divisions without qualified staffing. And they go back to the rationale here. It says it should be revised. The free enrollment cap should be revised. That would provide additional flexibility to divisions. In other words, I don't think it's a lose situation. I think you're going to gain some free seats as well as you'll have a higher capacity even for your paid seats.
I agree with that.
So I don't think that it's a bad thing. I'd have to support that, I believe, yeah.
And, if I may, and we've listened to parents in this room this year who are parents of high achieving students that wanted us to keep as many of the classes as we could, and this is another opportunity that we can do it.
I do see this legislation as a slippery slope to encouraging more and more virtual participation, less and less live participation. We know children learn better. We all learn better in live settings and contexts. I think it is very attractive to smaller school divisions, but this is not designed simply for smaller school divisions. This is for all school divisions. I believe the limitation of adding in state-run online course offerings to the verbiage instead of leaving it as online course offerings is specific to support specific entities that provide those trainings. I see the addition of this sentence, including advanced placement, AP courses, dual enrollment, and other similar courses, being very vague and open to interpretation. My concern is that it will be so easy to go this route, a path of least resistance, if you will, that we will stop seeking qualified staff to teach these most important courses. And we have essentially said, we throw in the towel, we give up, we can't do it. Let's make it all virtual. I vote no.
I think, you know, your school counselors or the school could make limitations to your point, Dr. Gibbs, that they could just say, it's not for convenience, it's only if there's a conflict in schedule.
That's not stipulated in the legislation.
No, it's not stipulated, but I'm saying our school can limit it. We can do it here at the school. It's not to say you can't make more restrictive kinds of access or more kind of policies about how we want it to work at Mathews High School. I hear your point, but I think in a small school division, I've seen it. I've seen where it's offered. This has been 17, 18 years ago, and we've not lessened trying to attract teachers to teach either AP or dual enrollment. In fact, we've broadened it in Mathews. But so I don't see that it's, I mean, I see where your point is, but we can make limitations if that's a concern. But I support it.
On this, can we put stipulations on this as a board here
If the legislation passed?
Pardon me?
If the legislation passed.
Uh-huh.
I'm sure we could.
Because I hear your point also, but I also see the value. I personally can't think that we would not try to hire the best people we could, you know, for the open positions, because Lord knows I don't want to see us go virtual either. You know, hands-on is so good, but is there a compromise we can make?
We may be able to, but
no.
I hear you.
Do we have any idea, how many, you thinking around 40 or so, Dr. Daniel, students in Mathews that are using Virtual Virginia? Just an estimate, you know, just 20, 40, 100?
But can I just interject something?
Who remembers what the bill was last year?
Mr. Dobson, Mrs. Hodges was speaking.
I just make sure, when Dr. Holloran was here, one of the requirements that he put in place is that all students, before they graduate, need to take an online class. I don't think I've been part of revoking that. So I don't know if we're still implementing that. It's a point that I think we need to evaluate whether we still want that policy. And I just bring it up as just another point that I'm not sure we're aware of that policy having been in place.
There's a state component for graduation that you have to have a virtual experience. It doesn't have to be a full sort of virtual class, but there has to be like a hybrid or some sort of virtual experience, which is, that criteria is somewhat dated or archaic at this point because of learning management systems, and you're gonna have, like even a Google Classroom, you're gonna have some sort of virtual component to many of your courses. So if you go home, watch this lesson, you know, via Google Classroom or Canvas or whatever, you're meeting part of that component. But Mr. Dobson, I mean, I can find those numbers, or Mr. Morgan, I can before Thursday in the vote, I mean, we can find that, but I don't, like, it varies. I'm trying to think when I signed off on the first semester enrollment, what that bill was, and I don't remember it off the top of my head.
It's not an extremely high number, I don't believe.
No. You don't remember either? Okay.
Total, but not the student.
Yeah, so I don't think it's, like, it's not insignificant, but it's not like we've got to, like, I think probably for the year, we end up paying $10,000-$12,000, something along those lines for virtual Virginia courses. And
Yeah.
again, I'm just guessing. I'll get a better number. Some years it's been up around 20 or 25 because we couldn't fill a specific course and had to run more kids through that course.
Right, and that's my thinking here is, while I understand Dr. Gibbs' points and agree with a lot of them, most of them, I come back to this one line that's a cost-effective, offer courses that are cost-effective that may or may not be offered in school divisions without qualified staffing. Now, I don't know how you'd write this, because, I'm not an attorney here, but if you could write a policy that said if this course is offered as an in-person, hands-on course, then you may not take it virtually. You have to take it at school in person.
I think it would depend on what the testing or documentation would be for a person to get credit for that course. Because they may need somebody there that actually knows how to do something.
Yeah, I think all of us learned during the COVID escapade that students don't learn well virtually. It's a burden on teachers. I know if you can imagine trying to teach carpentry online, it was a nightmare, and the kids hated it, and I didn't like it. But that was a totally different situation, I think, than what this applies to. If a student had interest in taking a course that was not offered here, but they could take it online through Virtual Virginia at no cost or little cost to the school division, maybe I just haven't given it enough thought. I don't see the problem with that. Maybe if I researched it enough, I would see a problem. But right now, it just seems like to me that it would be something else you could offer these students.
So is personal finance, my understanding is all personal finance was online, was a virtual class. Do we have a teacher for that now? I thought that was, oh, we do. Well, then I guess that
Yeah,
one.
so when we adjusted some of the master schedule, going into, I think, 2 years now, and looking at kind of increasing some class size to provide options. And EPF is one of those classes where multiple licenses can teach it, so you can social studies or math or some CTE licenses will allow you to teach EPF. And so they were able to figure out a way in the master schedule to have that moved from all virtual Virginia to in-person. So I think we've got, 2 of our social studies department teachers are now teaching EPF.
Thank you.
And that's what greatly reduced
Right.
our
That's why I was asking,
virtual
because
Virginia
all
costs.
the 11th graders used a virtual class in the past.
Mr. Morgan, are you able to ascertain
Not
which way
really.
to vote at the, no?
Not
Okay.
really.
All right, so,
I know I have one definite no,
I think 2 definite now.
2 definite no's.
well, I believe we have to, in this public meeting, determine which way you're going to vote. So we'll need to come to some understanding of how you'll vote on that. And it appears that you're the swing vote.
Based on what I have read and what I can understand, if I'm making any sense of it whatsoever, I'm going to support it.
All right, so there will be a yes on that one, and, okay?
2 no's and a yes, right? Mr. Morgan?
Well, the other 2 ladies, I think were Ms. Hodges and
3 yeses, 2 nos,
Yeah.
is how I counted it.
I counted it that way, too.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Morgan. Does anybody else have any closing comments on this?
We beat that to death.
Yeah, we did.
You did indeed.
We did. Moving on to 8.2, we have our school board conferences and webinars, past and future. I would request going forward that we expand this, since we have members who are on SBMA, that we add SBMA opportunities in this section as well, Ms. Lau. And thank you for keeping us straight on all of our FOIA COIA. Mr. Morgan, I do have an on-demand FOIA and COIA option for you if the 12-3 session does not work for you.
Okay, all right.
So, and I will share that with all members.
Yeah, I'll
So
be
that will
back in
give us
touch
much
with
more
you.
flexibility in getting those requirements.
Is that through SBMA?
No, it is not.
Okay.
No. No, it's not. Item 8.3, governance platform and information discussion. I just want to keep the board informed. As you know, and perhaps most of the citizens know at this point, the governance platform that we use called Board Docs, that supports our meetings, our agendas, and holds all of our legacy meetings, all of our data for our documentation, is going to be it's a sunsetting product. So there is a product in the pipeline to replace it called Community. However, after sitting in on the update from VSBA that was the liaison discussing this transition, there is no timeline and no pricing information available yet for the new product called Community. I have also, as you know, during our work session, we met with Boardable. We had a virtual meeting with Ms. Emma Lacey at Boardable, where she informed the board and gave us some information about a possible platform, their platform, as an alternative. I have also pursued discussions with Civic Plus and eScribe. We have many options that are available to us, up to and including the new product from Diligent that's replacing Board Docs called Community. We can get that product regardless of our affiliation with VSBA. It will be at a higher price, of course, if we are not connected with VSBA. But we do have options. We have viable options, and I look forward to continuing this discussion as we move forward in trying to decide what platform we will go onto next. There is one thing for sure. We will be changing platforms. And it will most likely, if we stick with the new Community product, it will be at an increased price, most definitely. The platforms range in pricing and have their own fee structures and their own amenities. And so we will continue to discuss this until we are ready to vote on what we're going to do. Yes, Mrs. Hodges?
So what do you envision as the next steps here? There's a lot, we've kind of drilled down with one of them. And I've heard you mention, 3 other ones at the very least. What's our next step to evaluate how we're going to move forward? What's your thinking on that?
Well, first of all, for the sake of procurement, we needed to have 3 entities that we could evaluate, correct, Ms. Hunley? Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, so we have reached that threshold. What we need to do as a board is decide how we want to move forward, and pretty soon, because any product that we choose is going to take probably several months to implement. So I anticipated next month we will be discussing this again, possibly with more details, perhaps enclosed with contract information that we could share with the board. I'm still waiting on some pricing from certain companies.
So if you went with Community through the VSBA, you don't have to procure, is that correct? Because you're kind of piggybacking on theirs?
I'm sure there would be no need to do that then.
That's my sense.
Just,
right? But we don't have any idea what that's going to cost.
No, we don't.
I have more questions, but I'll just
Yeah,
wait.
there are a lot of
off on that.
questions, and so I encourage one-on-one discussions as we move forward. But this is a super important piece. It's not a fun piece, but it's a necessary piece that, I will say this, any product that we move forward will be superior to the product we have now. I am confident of that, no doubt about it.
It's an old and tired.
Absolutely obsolete, yes. If there are no more questions okay. And please feel free to have discussions as we move forward with more information, and I'll share it with each of you. Item 8.4, board and committee reports by school board members and superintendent. Does anybody have anything they'd like to report on?
Well, I did have a Chesapeake Bay Governor's School
Yes.
Meeting last Thursday. Actually, it was the same time the band concert, so unfortunately I couldn't attend that, and it was virtual. There really wasn't anything, well, two items. One is, they did have a student who's going to be present to us, and that was very helpful. And then there was a way that there's some money freed up that would help offset the cost of the dual enrollment courses, but I think the superintendents already know that. Okay, I'll just get with you after I look back over my notes. It was a good thing for us, for local school board.
Yeah, if that's new, because originally they were still charging, so states, like as VCCS is supposed to offer dual enrollments for certain courses for free for school divisions. The exception to that is special programs, like governor schools. So we would still, students or families would still have to then pay the dual enrollment coverage. And so there was some questioning in our superintendent's meeting about why that was the case and what was going on and stuff. So if there's funding coming, that's great.
Yeah, they found some funds. I think there is some students that aren't using school divisions that aren't using their slots, that freed up money that would help offset the cost to the local school divisions.
Okay, that'd be good.
Okay, the way I understood it, I thought the superintendents knew that, but it was good news, so our locality or the families would not have to pay that additional dual enrollment cost. Okay, does that make sense?
Yep.
Thank you.
I mentioned this earlier when the gentleman from WHRO sat on. The gentleman from WHRO was here, and that SAIL 250, there's a lot going on with it, and I'm glad that I get to be involved a bit, and in talking with the principals and so forth.
I hope it works. I just want to report that there was no CLEO meeting this month as planned. There was not going to be a physical quorum, so they canceled the meeting. Those meetings are quarterly, so I don't have anything to report as far as outcomes there. However, I did attend the SBMA symposium this past weekend, and I just wanted to note a couple of the highlights of the learning opportunities and the speakers that we got to hear. First of all, we heard from the current Secretary of Education, Amy Guadera. She talked about data integrity and local leadership and how we can continue to drive academic recovery and restore excellency no matter the political winds. And the fact that the board remains the anchor of accountability, reinforced by constitutional and statutory authority that empowers boards to govern by principle. There was a session on FOIA, which was very informative, but did not count for the FOIA. Did not count for the FOIA requirement, certificate, thank you. But it was very good, it was very helpful. There was a speaker on restoring civic education and civic literacy that was fascinating. There was an excellent session on finance and budget oversight. In terms of policy, there was a session on the board's responsibility to stay focused on its vision and not micromanagement. And to that point, as noted in the minutes from the work session, we will be resuming the charge of having the policy standing committee. We're going to be taking that up in January in earnest, and that will be a new, very, very busy focus for the board. And then finally, there was a presentation on accountability and accreditation, and so much more. But it was a packed weekend. It was very, very informative and really aimed at making boards very strong in the area of student achievement and focusing on, again, what they can do, not what they can't do. That's all I have.
Can I just do one thing before you move on?
Yes.
So we received word for the upcoming biennium's local composite index. We got that late Friday. The bad news here is that our local composite index increases from 0.5904 to 0.6609, I think, somewhere. So we move up
Take out your checkbook.
7 percentage points, which is a lot. So that's that will have an impact on our state funding going into this upcoming budget, FY27 sort of budget cycle. So just putting that on the map. Yes, ma'am.
Has anybody reached out to our senator and our delegate? And I know that from our legislative tour, they felt like we're a little bit too late for this year, but I think with this significant change, we need to start saying something, you know, in the General Assembly. We can't just, from my perspective, just not say anything and say, oh, well, we'll wait another year. I just think we need to start making noise about this system that communities like ours are burdened in an unfair manner to pay so much of the percentage of local education. And I don't think we're alone, but we are in the minority for sure.
I think we did have good conversations on the legislative tour, all of us who were speaking with Delegate Hodges and Senator McDougal. I did sense that there was a little bit of a lackluster feeling about any movement that we could make, but I don't disagree with you. I think we should still bring it, and we should still be the squeaky smiling bulldozer and do what we have to do to advocate for our schools, because this is very, very difficult news. I'm not surprised, but it's still upsetting.
Dr. Daniel,
go ahead.
Dr. Daniel, do you have access to information to the other divisions that have had an increase as well? Will we
So
get
there's
information to know who to try to link with?
So the state pushed out every division's composite index and the variables. What I would have to go back and do is pull that same form from 2 years ago to kind of compare where they were then and kind of who went up, who went down. Usually it's a zero-sum gain across the state.
That's what I worry about.
So if we went up 7 points, you know, somebody went down.
That's what I was thinking.
And I think and it's, you know, again, it's multiple variables that go into that formula, but the big pieces are enrollment, and then so it's last year's, or I think it's our enrollments for 2023, but then it also, there's some trailing indicators for gross income and then real estate values within our locality as well that all play into that formula.
It's like anything else. You all were talking about trainers tonight. We haven't had a trainer in how many years?
We had contracted with a trainer. He left to go to a different position, left Pivot, I think in October, so about a year ago. So we've been without a trainer.
Okay, because I know we've been without one for a while, because I questioned it on one of the sheets one time.
Yeah, and we budgeted for it.
So I knew we didn't have one for a lot of years.
Right.
And then, you know, this is something that we're going to be facing all the time. This is not going to be something new. And talking with the new prices going up, you're right, we're going to get bit by it. And that means we're going to be paying more money per student. While you got places like Richmond and Alexander who can create a new tax to help pay for the school system. We can't do that. And the other thing is, and I'm still trying to beat on it, is about the lottery money being segregated out of the budget. That was money that was supposed to be given to the schools, so they had extra money to deal with it. And they've wrapped it up in the budget itself now, and you don't get that money separate. Anytime we can get money separate out of the school is a bargain to us because of the way things are.
Before we leave item 8.4, Ms. Lau, if this is still all right, Mrs. Hodges has graciously offered to attend this Thursday's Board of Supervisors meeting in my place. Thank you. Moving on to item 9, action items. We have 2 action items tonight. Item 9.1, I am seeking a motion for the adoption of resolution allocating funds for 2 school resource officers. May I have a motion?
Dr. Gibbs, do you want this entire resolution read?
Let's go ahead and make a motion.
Okay. Well, I'll make the motion that we approve or adopt the resolution for the funding of 2 school resource officers.
Okay, and
I second it.
thank you. Second. So let's, for purposes of discussion, let's go ahead and read the SRO resolution so that everyone at home can hear and understand.
Would you like me to read that?
Yes, please, that'd be wonderful.
Okay, Mathews County School Board resolution allocating funds for 2 school resource officers. Whereas the Mathews County School Board is committed to providing a safe and secure learning environment for all students, staff, and visitors within Mathews County Public Schools. And whereas school resource officers play a vital role in ensuring school safety, serving as law enforcement liaisons, mentors, and resources for students and staff, and whereas the presence of SROs enhances emergency preparedness, deters criminal activity, and strengthens relationships between youth and law enforcement, and whereas Mathews County Public Schools currently do not have school resource officers assigned to any school facilities, and whereas the Mathews County Sheriff's Office has indicated its willingness to provide deputies to serve as school resource officers contingent upon the availability of sufficient funding for personnel, training, and equipment, and whereas the school board recognizes the shared responsibility between the school division, the Sheriff's Office, and the Mathews County Board of Supervisors to ensure the safety of our school community. And whereas the school board has identified available funds in the amount of $89,047 to be committed to Mathews County for this purpose. Now therefore be it resolved that the Mathews County School Board hereby approves the allocation of $89,047 to Mathews County to fund new school resource officer positions within Mathews County Public Schools. Let's scroll down here, my computer's not cooperating. Be it further resolved that the school board directs the division superintendent to transmit this resolution to the Mathews County Board of Supervisors and to collaborate with the Sheriff's Office and County Administration in planning for the implementation of these positions at the earliest opportunity. Adopted this 18th day of November 2025 by the Mathews County School Board.
Thank you, Mr. Morgan. I think that was very helpful in light of all the comments that we've had tonight regarding safety and the comments from Sheriff Edwards regarding the collaborative effort that her department, the county, and the school board are demonstrating to work together to ensure the safety of our schools, students, and staff. Do we have any other comments, questions about this particular action item?
I do. You got 89,000 some odd dollars. You got that available right now, Dr. Daniels, for those 2?
Ms. Hunley, in planning it out and kind of adjusting adjusting line items and whatnot, feels
All right,
confident
who's
that
gonna
we'll
pay
be
the
able.
rest of their salary? Because that don't cover their whole salary.
Right, so there's part of the grant covers salary expenses and equipment, certain equipment expenses.
Gotta
and
buy
things.
cars?
Right, so that's what, in collaboration with the county on what they needed from the school division, this is the number they provided to us to be able to find a way.
So, well, that's 60% of their salary, I assume.
I don't know that I'm not sure what the exact percentage of
I heard
the.
it was gonna be, I heard, rumor mill, it was $330,000.
I think the overall grant request was in that ballpark, but that included vehicles
Yeah.
and some other equipment. Some of the equipment that they're going to need, it can't be covered with the grant, and so that has to be part of either in-kind match or other funds going to support those positions.
Right.
I'm just going off of, this is
Right.
what was asked of us in order to make this happen.
So what I'm trying to get is, I imagine the 2 years worth of grants, that's what the 49,000 some odd dollars is that the state's kicking in.
So the grant is year to year.
Okay.
So the understanding with the grant is you can reapply for as many years as you want. I think the longer you are in that, the less competitive of an applicant you are. So I think we're going to be pretty competitive for the first several years for this grant. The grant request will go down in successive years because the equipment costs won't be a part of that. So we
Right.
can just look at salaries coming into that. And again, the sheriff's office and the county have to be the partners in this grant proposal. The school division, the SRO is obviously then assigned to the school division, and the school division's local composite index factors into what the match or the grant award will be.
All right,
So-
now, having said that, these two SRO officers, will the sheriff be able to take those toys and go home with them?
The conversation with the sheriff has been, and I think her desire is, and part of the reason there's an ask from the school division is that it's kind of becomes part of our budget, and so they are in some ways part of our positions. Now, they'll work for the sheriff's office in doing regular sheriff's office responsibilities outside of the school calendar. But the purpose for these additional positions is to serve as school resource officers. So
Okay,
because
so they
there's
cannot
state
be-
grant money
They
tied-
can't be pulled from the office unless we okay it from the
I
school.
don't know that we have an okay, but I think the
Well, I think you
the
would
hook
have
is
to have
that
it
it's-
okay, because we're paying for them
Well, and
out
I
of
think-
our budget.
Right. And I agree with you on that part, but I think
Yeah.
what I'm thinking through is in years down the line. And so we've had some conversation about, do we, part of our planning, have a line item in the budget for school resource officers? Where that gets weird is that they're not our employees.
Understand that.
And so do we then have a line item on our budget that basically comes right back out and either goes directly to the sheriff's office or goes back to the county to go to the sheriff's office? So the accounting piece of why we have like a line item in our budget for an employee that's not our employee.
Well.
But I mean, it's a symbolic piece, and
Right.
so it makes some sense there. But
The school pays for anything the sheriff office does for the school. You send people down there to get a background check on them. The school pays for that, on that background, okay? This is why I'm gonna present it this way. So, out of our budget, we're paying for those two SRO officers. So how could they take the money back if we're funding it.
And I see your point. I don't anticipate, again, like this year, I think there is significant commitment by the school board, the sheriff's office, and the board of supervisors to resolve the absence of SROs within our schools.
You didn't see this coming. None of us saw this coming, that they were going to remove the SOO officer out of the class, out of the school. Nobody saw it, but it was done. Now with getting 2 positions, you don't ever want to see that happen again. And don't think it can happen. We need to prevent it. I mean, it was all right during the summer, but when those kids went back to school until at least January now, you got a void opening here. That's not good at all. And I don't want to see that happen again.
Right, I don't think anybody does.
So that's why I'm voicing my opinion on that.
Thank you, Mr. Dobson. Is there any more discussion before we vote? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. Item 9.2, seeking a motion for the retroactive ratification of Thrifty Spot Agreement.
I make a motion to approve the Thrifty Spot Agreement as listed.
Thank you, Mrs. Hodges. Do we have a second?
Second it.
Thank you, Ms. Diggs. We do have a bill of sale. You want to go ahead and read it?
You want to read it? Okay. All right, know all men by these presents that we, Mathews County School Board, seller, do hereby sell, transfer, assign, convey, grant, and deliver to Robin H. Dahu, P.O. Box 236, Hutchins, Virginia 23076, the buyer. Effective as of noon, October 31st, 2026, all of seller's right, title, interest, and estate, either at law or in equity, in and to all tangible personal property located at the premises commonly known as 8303 Buckley Hall Road, Hutchins, Mathews County, Virginia, formerly operated by seller as a thrift store, expressly including but not limited to all inventory, storage buildings, and drop boxes in consideration of $1 cash in hand, paid in other good and valuable consideration, the receipt, adequacy, and legal sufficiency of which are hereby acknowledged by seller. The property that is conveyed shall be hereinafter referred to as the sold property. Seller hereby covenants for itself, its successor, and assigns with buyer that it is the lawful owner of the sold property, that the sold property is free from all liens, debts, encumbrances, and tenancies of any kind whatsoever, that seller has good right to sell and deliver the same as aforesaid, that seller will warrant and defend the sale, transfer, assignment, conveyance, grant, and delivery of the sold property hereby made against all claims and demands of all persons whomsoever, that seller will take all steps reasonably necessary to establish the record of buyer's title to the sold property. At the request of buyer, seller will execute and deliver further instruments of transfer and assignment and take such other actions as buyer may reasonably request to more effectively transfer and assign to invest in buyer each of the items of sold property. And that seller will indemnify and save buyer harmless from any and all lawful claims and demands of third parties, including reasonable attorney's fees and costs. Witness the following signature and seal as of October 23rd, 2025. Mary Ann Gibbs, Chair, Mathews County School Board.
Thank you, Mrs. Hodges. I know we all wish Second Chance great success. And they had their grand opening.
So in fact, it was $1 cash. Sometimes they put that in there as a.
No, it was $1. And then we made a $1 donation to the Second Chance thrift store.
Any more discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to item 10, citizens' comments. on items discussed during the meeting. Is there anyone who would like to approach the podium and speak? Thank you, Coach Mullen. Sorry.
I would just like to say that I was in attendance at Mathews High School on October 30th. I was beginning practice with my team. We were standing around the gym in our pre-practice mode. Mr. Noonan came to the door in a very firm but confident voice, told us that we were going on lockdown, what he wanted us to do. My girls responded in kind. We went to the locker room, we locked ourselves in. We sat there. The girls could not have handled themselves any better. I thought that they'd chit-chat the whole time. Not a word was spoken. They sat there. A short time later, Mr. Noonan came back, told us that all was safe. He brought with him a guidance counselor and a social worker. When I told the girls that they should call their parents or text their parents and say they were safe, he did relay to us that the parents had not been notified. But I appreciate and I admire the way he handled himself. He was efficient. He left the gym and I presume went down to the band room in an efficient manner. He was clear, concise, and the girls felt very safe. I think Mrs. Ball can assure her daughter felt safe, and after hearing the other comments, I felt compelled to stay here for this time to make this statement. I never felt threatened. Your imagination can take hold of you at a time like that. And some of the girls were a little upset, but they were allowed to talk with the counselor as needed. And we resumed practice in a timely manner with the doors locked. But I can assure you that Mr. Noonan did a wonderful job. The counselors were there, and we felt very safe. My only question with the comments made by the public is at that time of day, I don't understand why students were around unless in an activity. That's my only comment. But I thank you, and I would like to publicly thank Mr. Noonan. I thought he did a great job. Thank you.
Thank you very much for staying to give that comment, Coach.
I know it's late. Sharon Fry, Port Haywood. I'll be brief. I want to talk about the robotics program. I went to a gathering this weekend, and I have watched this young child grow from an infant with autism, and he is now in part of the robotics program, and he has blossomed. It was incredible. And so there's going to be a competition, and I was hoping that maybe the school system could send out a flyer about the robotics competition and get more people interested. If you could see this child and how he has blossomed, it was like Bobby's ROTC children. Anyway, I want to thank the robotics program person. Thank you. And that was a personal, amazing. It was amazing. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fry.
Penny Pastiva, Hudgens, Virginia. Mr. Morgan reminded me of something. He said we were supposed to be working on a consolidation plan, I thought. Or something to that effect. So I would just like to ask, what happened to the consolidation plan? And just ask if you could please pitch it or brief it in an upcoming meeting, because there were a lot of meetings about that last year.
Thank you, Ms. Pastiva. Yes, I think that will be a regular standing agenda item going forward, as we need to be giving updates all the time on that. Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to approach? Mr. Childress, would you please state your name and address, please?
Ken Childress. The competition is at Glen Allen on January 10th, and it runs from 8 to 6 o'clock. And it's competition all day, so you could go for a couple of hours and not miss anything. I want to invite the entire board to go, if it's possible, and anybody. And we're looking to get that bus. We don't have any students yet. We haven't really announced it. But we'd like to get this field trip going.
Right.
With a school bus on Saturday.
Right. I received your email. I have it on my calendar, and I want the members to know, again, it's January 10th. It's at Glen Allen High School, 8 to 6, and you can pop in, pop out. It's not, you don't have to be there all day, but to get a flavor of what we are shooting for with the Robotics Club. We are not competing in it.
No,
You're
we
taking
just
the kids to observe and to
see where we're
do
going
a taste
with the
test.
program. This is where we want to go with the program.
That's where you want to go. That's your goal. Fantastic, and we can't thank you enough for your contribution to our division. Thank you. Ms. Bohannon-Stewart?
Good evening again. So I wanted to, since there was Ms. Pat Moen and a volleyball parent up here speaking about the importance of a trainer, I just figured I would share my experience. Luckily, when my daughter played volleyball for Mathews High School, they did have a trainer. And at one point, my daughter suffered from a concussion related to a volleyball injury. And I'm so very, very grateful that there was a trainer there to help her through that. And I really appreciate that as a parent, to make sure my child did not go back too soon and get further injury. And she worked with her so that she knew when it was appropriate to send her back. And so I just wanted to share, if there's any way we can get a trainer back for our athletes, I think it is a very valuable thing to have. Had I had to take my daughter to many appointments outside the district across the river, I was an employee at that time, so that would have translated to a teacher using sick days to do that. But anyway, just some things to think about. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else who'd like to approach? All right. Thank you for your comments. They're moving on to 10.1, school board member comments.
Yes, I have one, Dr. Gibbs.
Yes, sir.
Not to steal anyone's thunder, meaning yourself or Dr. Daniel, but in regard to the consolidation, I think it's safe to say that the committee is established, and we've already had two meetings. It's made up of teachers, administrators, citizens, various staff from the school, so the wheels are turning. The wheels are turning.
I just want to, even though we don't have very many here in front of us, thank everybody who's taken the time to comment today at the citizen comments. Both things, as Ms. Moen mentioned, things that went well, and the areas where it did not go particularly well. We do have some work to do, clearly, but I appreciate people taking the time to provide feedback to the board members. And because it's only if we hear it or the superintendent hears it that we can do something, make change. So thank you.
Absolutely, I agree. Sticks? No? I wanted to make a comment regarding the trainer situation. My understanding is the trainer position is a very difficult one to fill, but it is essential. I think we have more than enough evidence to show that we've got to find a way to have that position. I think we're lucky that we haven't had poor results so far without one. So I think we need to go back to that drawing board and and to see if we can get that to happen. I really feel strongly about that. A lot of good comments made tonight. I do feel confident the board is moving forward, again, in collaboration with the county, with admin, the sheriff's department, the community, for safety in our schools. And big strides were demonstrated tonight, and we will continue to make them. We are all on the same page on this one. And that's, I believe, a commitment from this board that we are have complete consensus on. That is all. And any other school board member reports or any last comments there? Item 12 then, other business by school board members or superintendent. We have 12.1, the joint school legislative tour was Thursday, November 13th at 9 a.m. here at Thomas Hunter Middle School. It was very successful. It's always a very interesting time. Good experience. Item 12.2, the school board budget work session is going to be held Tuesday, December 16th at 4 p.m. in the J. Murray Books Auditorium here at Thomas Hunter Middle School. That'll be prior to closed meeting, which is Tuesday, the 16th of December at 5, which is then prior to our next regular monthly meeting, which is Tuesday, December 16th at 6 p.m. here in the Murray Brooks Auditorium. So put that one on your calendar, December 16th for school board budget work session, leading right into our closed and open meetings. Any other comments, board members, superintendents? Okay. Thank you very much for those of you who are here, and thank you for listening at home. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Meeting adjourned.